Hey, buddy. Hey, I got my own. Pardon me for, I guess, embodying the mannerisms of a person who I watch quite often. But I did another NLism the other day, and I watched a movie that I don't know if it's on the Criterion Collection, but if it's not, it should be. Has anyone seen Sorcerer? The movie Sorcerer. Has anyone seen the movie Sorcerer? I hadn't even heard about it, but a friend of mine brought it up. It was on their IMDb watch list. It's about it's an adaptation of a book. There was another adaptation in the 50s, considered one of the like greatest films of all time. It's about a bunch of criminals on the run who all find themselves in a Venezuelan oil town in the 70s, and all of them are tasked with an extremely dangerous job. Jesus Christ, they do not make movies like that anymore. Oh my fucking God, they don't make movies like that anymore. They would fucking kill you if you tried to make a movie that good these days. If you attempted to make a movie that good, they would take you out back and they would shoot you. Whatever producer you brought it to, they would fucking shoot you. Yeah, the original adaptation, the movie adaptation was Wages of Fear, which is now on my watch list. Oh my God, what a good film. Holy shit. I was watching it with friends. We were watching this during this scene on the bridge. We were like, this is like the opposite of a prophylactic. Like none of us are going to be able to poop. We all have diarrhea, or not diarrhea. We all have constipation now from like our assholes just iron grip. If I was bottoming at that moment, I think I would have cut the top in half. They do not make movies this good. If they made a movie this good today, they would kill the director and they would kill the actors. Made by the director of 12 Angry Men, by the way. 12 Angry Men was great. I strongly encourage you guys to watch this. I strongly encourage you guys to watch this. So fucking good. Prophylactic means birth control? You're right, you're right. I'm mixing up all my words. It's fine. I only watched the French one, Wages of Fear. What platform? I don't fucking know. Just look it up. God, it was good. Wages of Fear is on Tubi. Bro, it's on Tubi. You can literally watch it for free on Tubi. Dude, it's on Dougal. Have you seen it on Dougal? It's literally on Clit. You can watch it on demand on Clit anytime. Oh, he did the 90s remake of 12 Angry Men, not the original? I haven't seen the 90s remake. Oh, I just saw known for 12 Angry Men. Fuck, there's so much I have to learn. Holy shit. So what else has this guy made? He's still alive? He made the French Connection? Oh my God. What? Literally? What? He died in 2023? Fuck! God damn it. Okay, genuinely, why do we watch new movies anymore? I'm not joking. Why do we watch new movies anymore? The last good AAA blockbuster film was Pirates of the Caribbean. Um, what's the one after Dead Man's Chest? What's the third one? What's the third Pirates of the Caribbean? Come on, Black Pearl. World's End. World's End. That's the last good one, okay? Why do we watch modern movies? So you didn't like Odyssey? Dude, I liked Odyssey, but like, can I be real with you guys? I feel like Odyssey, it's like this big, it's this big event. It's this big event movie. Genuinely, there are like a million movies made pre 1980 that are better than the Odyssey. Like our standards have fallen so much. Genuinely. Like it's crazy. That's how I felt when I watched 12 Angry Men for the first time. I was like, what the fuck? It's literally just 12 Angry Men in a room. And it's better than like anything I've seen in like 5 years. Haven't you seen Obsession? Dog, listen, Obsession's good, but you're kind of proving my point here. This is what I mean. Okay? This is what I mean. Obsession is just like no, 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 guys, come on. The back rooms, please. No, no, no. No, not like this, dude. Not like this. You can't do this to me. No, it's good. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm saying that, like, the standards for filmmaking have dropped so fucking much, dude. It's fucking crazy. Come on. I'm talking about 12 Angry Men. Don't bring up fucking The Back Rooms. They're like good movies or whatever. People used to make fucking masterpieces. There were a lot of shit movies back then too. Yeah, of course there are. But the difference is that, like, the Odyssey now, it's like, what's a big movie now? AAA, $50 billion to make it, worldwide phenomenon. And then you go back and you watch a movie that was filmed for like $20 out of a director's basement. And it's fucking peak. It's goated. I genuinely feel like to make the equivalent with the books, everything is Harry Potter now. Everything is like, well, dude, the Philosopher's Stone was like pretty good. If you ignore J.K. Rowling's politics, like the Harry Potter books are pretty good. And it's like, you need to read like Moby Dick or something. It's like, no, dude, listen, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is good. And I'm like, it's fine. It's okay. Sure, whatever. Okay, I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying, like, the standards are skewed as fuck. They don't hold up, though? Fine, then, the Percy Jackson books. Okay, what about the Discworld or whatever? Or like Stephen King, or like, there are some really good Stephen King books. You know, it varies. Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 is phenomenal. Genuinely, Dune Part 2 gets fucking mogged by Sorcerer. Genuinely. It absolutely does. It absolutely does. It does. I genuinely feel like the standards for our movie making have dropped considerably, and as a consequence, now we get wowed by stuff that if you show Dune Part 2 to somebody in 1979, they would be like, why is this so long? Why is so much re-explained to the audience? Why is so much spent like retreading the same points? Do you think CGI is a part of this? I think CGI is a component of a broader problem, which is design by committee. It used to be that good movies were like passion projects from a small creative team, but now movies are so big and expensive that everything gets like, you need like everyone in on this. It's one of the reasons Marvel movies suck so much. It's because like there's 50 billion people being, there's like 50 billion people being consulted on every decision. So as a consequence, everything gets kind of like ground down to the lowest denominator, basically. You know what I mean? And because the movies are so expensive, you need them to appeal to the biggest audience possible. I think, yeah, it's less risk taking a little bit. CGI plays into this a little bit, but it's not fundamentally a problem with CGI, you know? I work in cooperation for a fashion company. This is the reason all your clothes suck now too. Wrong. This is the reason your clothes suck. My clothes are fucking goated. Thank you. This is one of the reasons why indie video games are so good. Because video games are like the last well, not the last, I shouldn't say the last, but they're one of the last creative mediums where you can get something that blows up and becomes super popular, even though it was literally made by like 3 fucking people or whatever, you know? Like Silksong. Everyone, like, billion sales or whatever. Silksong, made by a very small team. So you have that pure, that creative vision that's not being filtered through the morass of like Ubisoft running every design decision between 50 teams or whatever, you know? You have the ability to get that like that direct. This is why books are and always will be like the most direct creative medium. Because books are, at least traditionally, written by one person. It's also the reason, in my opinion, why, generally speaking, manga is much better than Western comics. It's because traditionally, a manga is done by one person. Maybe with assistants and background artists and stuff, but generally one person. Whereas a comic, you know, a graphic novel, usually the work is split between multiple people. And for a longer comic run, you might have different writers over the course of the whole run, which is like, okay. Not music. I keep my hands off music because I well know that you know they're these BCs I dare not tread. I'm not getting into an argument over music with anyone. I believe One Piece is largely drawn by assistants. Yeah, and to my point, One Piece sucks now. And has sucked. Or at least been relatively bad since the time skip. I'm sorry, dude. Pre-time skip One Piece is genuinely peak. Post-time skip One Piece? Speaking of bottom common denominator, right? Lowest common denominator. Let's change Nami and Robin's design, you know? I'm reading Game of Thrones, and it's so much better than the show, even when the show is at its best. I should read it. I really should read it. I think everyone just prefers recruitment arcs. I just prefer arcs that don't suck, personally. I like it when a fight's cool and interesting and not like, what if he haki'd harder, you know? In my personal opinion. I like it when the thing is good. I like it when the thing is good too, yeah. A lot of descriptions slop. You only like it because it's quality slop. Oh, it literally is on the Criterion Collection. Nice. This movie didn't even feel like escapism. It didn't even feel like a fucking break from my day job. You know, on one of the opening scenes, a group of Palestinian militants disguised as Jews causes an explosion near the Damascus Gate in Jerusalem, after which they take shelter at their hideout. After getting surrounded by the IDF, they split up. 2 are killed and 1 is apprehended. The only one who manages to escape is Qassem, a demolitions expert. It's like, damn, ripped from the headlines. I think one of the main problems that media won't let things end, like the Walking Dead show and Star Wars. It's just a consequence of like everything getting thrown back to committee essentially. Though in Star Wars' case, Star Wars started to get really bad like under George Lucas's direction because hey, when Star Wars blew up, he stopped having the core team of people who were checking him, like his wife, and started working with like a bunch of corporate yes men who were like, Misa Jar Jar Binks or whatever. However they were talking to him, I don't really know. I wasn't there at the time. Are you shitting on the prequels? No, he heckin' didn't, Torino. Did he just express an anti-H bomber guy contrarian media take? Next, he's going to say Dark Souls 2 is obviously the worst of the 3 Dark Souls games. My heckin' contrarianism Marino. I'm sorry. I really like H-bomb. I can't. I've just like sometimes he does get a little wacky with it. Again, the point of a critic is not to be right, which is good in his case. It's to give you a distinct perspective. Wait, you agree DS3 is the worst? No, because I'm not stupid. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Absolute cinema. Obsession and Backrooms were good because they were underfunded and done by young ass people. Listen, okay, I haven't seen the Backrooms. I've seen Obsession. It's good. Like, genuinely, you can predict everything that's going to happen in Obsession 20 minutes before it actually happens. It's all very straightforward. The acting was good. There were on so many levels. Like it felt like a novice production. I like it. I would give it like a solid 6.5 or 7 out of 10. Okay. Um, like it's like the standout elements of Obsession by and large were the performance, especially of the actress. I don't know her name. Really really good stuff there, but like in terms of the overall construction of the movie, like it's just a movie, it's like fun movie. It's just, yeah, our standards have fallen so much. They've fallen so much. I thought we were having a good time. 7 out of 10 is a good rating. That's a good rating. That's a good rating. Where everyone is so fucking like everything needs to be 9 or 10 out of 10 or it's like a waste of your time. No, fuck that. Absolutely not. 5 out of 10 is like okay parentheses, like, somewhat positive. Tolerable. Good. Like, okay. 6 is pretty good. 7 is like, yeah, good. 8 is great. 9 is excellent. And 10 is masterpiece. Mid? No, because mid has a negative implication. Nobody says mid when they mean 5 out of 10 anymore. I would give the Odyssey an 8 out of 10. I would give it like the same grade. I would give Dune Part 1 and Oppenheimer like an 8.5 or a 9, maybe. As for a 10 out of 10, I don't know. I gave Sorcerer a 9. Well, I gave it a 4.5 on Letterboxd, which is a 9. What's a 10 to you? Fuck. I don't think a 10 out of 10 has to be the best thing in the world. I just think a 10 out of 10 has to be a movie that you go like masterpiece to. I gave a 10 out of 10. Sorry, this is IMDb, so it's 5 out of 5, right? Like I'm not doing 10. It's 5 out of 5. It's out of 5 stars. I gave it to Fellowship of the Ring. It's a subjective rating. I'm not going to pretend that it's the best movie in the world. I gave it to Fellowship of the Ring. I would give it to Spirited Away. I would give it to Spirited Away. 100% I would. But the list is limited. The list is limited. I would have to yeah, I'd have to think about it. I need to watch more stuff. Jesus Christ, Vosh's viewers unironically saying The Dark Knight's a 10. Listen, in fairness, it is like the highest rated film on IMDb or something. Or like fucking, yeah, I don't know. You know, the highest rated books on Goodreads are the Harry Potter novels or like Christian Andersen or whatever. It's really bad out there, genuinely. It's really fucking bad out there. It's so bad out there. Yeah. Brandon Sanderson. Sorry, Brandon Sanderson. Yeah, look at this. Words of Radiance, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Court of Thorns and Roses, Return of the King, Lord of the Rings #3. Wait, the book? Isn't it just one book? Am I dumb? Am I mixing it up for The Hobbit? I must be mixing it up for The Hobbit. Yeah, I'm thinking The Hobbit's one book. The Hobbit is one book that was made into 3 movies. Not okay. Yeah. Sorry. Just no. I want to read it one day. I do. I mean, I don't know a lot of this. Just the fact that Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is up here. 4.2 million ratings, man. How's Dracula? The book? I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I don't think Dracula is nearly as good as a lot of stuff that it inspired. I think that there are some parts of Dracula that are really good. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. No, I mean, did you finish it yet? Don't ask me that. So far, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Nosferatu, I'd probably give a 9 out of 10. Or a 4.5 out of 5. Now here's a book that doesn't deserve its rating. The Women. How good can it be, am I right? What, Chainsaw Man? I didn't even know Goodreads had manga on it. Chainsaw Man Chapter 9 is the 23rd highest. What's Chapter 9? What is that? Is that the Assassin's Arc or the Reese Arc? I assume it's the Assassin's Arc. No, it's after the Assassin's Arc. Volume 9, not chapter, Volume 9. It's got to be after the Assassin's Arc then. Nah, whatever. What about Killers of the Flower Moon? I haven't seen it because I'm a poser and a hack and a fraud. Can we move on, please? Can we move on? Hey, how do you guys... Hold on. How do you guys feel about opening the stream with our own dolls? Has anyone played Anthropium? Has anyone played Anthropium? I got Anthropium mogged by my friends. I have some learned friends who mogged me on this. Hold on. Each day, 10 objects. Guess where and when each was made. Then see how you ranked against everyone else who played today. Do we need like even more of a time waster before we get with the politics? I feel like we could get really cultured really fast. Guess where this object was made and when. And the range is from today to 3000 BC. All right, I'm thinking we're somewhere in India. Maybe like Thailand? I don't know if I want to do this. I'm suddenly feeling very intimidated. I feel like I'm about to expose myself as an intellectual fraud. What if here, we're just gonna do one, and we're testing this, okay? We're dipping our toe in the water. We're dipping our toe in the water. It's made out of copper alloy with tin. I'm thinking, I'm not looking at chat. I have it off. I'm thinking like Thailand. I'm thinking Cambodia. I'm not really thinking India, but I don't know why. Maybe it's like India. They like to sculpt fat bitches. But this is a skinny queen. Bangladesh? Myanmar? I'm going to split the difference and put it right here, okay? And what time range are we thinking? What if we hit like 500 CE? I have no clue. Fuck! Should have gone with the Thailand guess. Northeastern Thailand. Time range was close. Time range was close. So for that, we got 7,775 points out of 10,000. What about this one? Ceramic and pigment. What the fuck? Okay, this looks old as shit. This is all I get? What the fuck even is this? It's like a squid? I'm thinking like... It's gotta be like Egypt, Greece, Mycenaean shit. This looks Greek to me. It looks like a Greek urn. Ceramic and pigment? I don't know, man. I don't... Just 500 BCE. Just put it in the bag. Fuck! See, this is why I didn't want to do this, man. Motherfucker. Were they even... What were they even doing in 1000 BCE in Mexico? Like the Aztecs, the Mayans were around for so long. Cut the stream. Cut the stream. God damn it. I should have known it was too angular. Greek people like curves. Except in their boys, I guess, at the time. And probably also today. I'm sorry. Drum. Wooden skin. Okay, wooden leather? What about like canvas on the... Oh, we got a old photo of it? What the frick? Okay. Vibes on the drum construction is Africa. Where in Africa were they doing shit? They did shit in West Africa. They did shit over here. I don't know what the fuck they were doing down here. I feel like this is pretty recent. Leather doesn't last that long. What about... Can I do like Ethiopia 1800? Where does that... Here, what if I... Well, at least we got the time right. We need to... They need to stop doing shit over in the Americas. That needs to be a separate game. Native America. Oh, we've got... A language I don't speak. Okay. Is it Arabic or Farsi? This is relatively recent because it doesn't look that destroyed. I'm thinking like golden age of Islam, kind of, because it looks pretty. Look at this. They're like writing in diagonals over here. That's crazy. Different colors? This is like expensive as fuck. I'm thinking like 12th to 13th century. I think this is Arabic, not Farsi, so it wouldn't be in Iran, right? It would be like Syria or Iraq, maybe? Maybe it is Farsi. I feel like I should recognize Farsi because I grew up with Persian Jews. They all spoke Farsi, but I didn't see them write in Farsi. Does Arabic do diagonal writing? No one has diagonal writing, right? They're doing it for fun. They're doing it to show off. They're like, look at us. We can write in diagonal. Just, where's Baghdad? Just put the Baghdad in the bag. Okay? We're doing... It's not fucking Arabic, dog. It's not Arabic. It was never Arabic. It was never Arabic. Unique cursive script was used for Indian Qurans before the late 14th and mid-16th centuries. Called Bihari, from the region of Bihar, not known where it was developed, the script's main traits are wide expanded horizontal lines and thin delicate verticals. I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Qurans of this style often feature several different colors. Of course it's Indian. It has colors in it. Okay. It has to be Egypt, right? Oh, that looks sick. This looks like anyone getting like Millennia of Blade of Mikola vibes from like the way the limb is kind of like, you know what I'm talking about a little bit? Maybe not Millennia, more like the fucker who was Merica, boy Merica boy moding. It's got to be Egypt. It's okay. All right. Okay. I appreciate them giving us a freebie on the location. Now, time range. Okay. So Egypt was like a regional power back like 1000 or 1500 BCE. And they were conquered by Rome like a little bit before the birth of Christ, right? That was when they were doing that Cleopatra shit. But this looks to me like it's pre-Roman conquest. Maybe? That is a... Does anyone else feel like this is a really, really, really high fidelity, like sculpted torso? Like, the Egyptians were really fond of abstract representations, but this genuinely looks like it could be photo referenced. I'm not saying they didn't know how to do realism back then. They knew how to draw realism if they wanted to. It's just like the proportioning of the torso is genuinely like really, really masterful in a way that I don't typically see for Egyptian sculptures. But like, what the fuck do I know? I don't typically see this level of crafting expertise. Yeah, like I know shit. 1000 BCE Egypt, send it. Holy shit! 2500 BC? Jesus Christ! I didn't even think anything made of wood would be around for that long. I figured anything by then, like the only shit surviving from then is like a bronze helmet. That's crazy. The Old Kingdom. That's crazy. Okay, I'm having a lot of fun. There's 10 of these. We've done 4, I think. All right. Hello, Asia. Korea, Japan, or China? How do you... I'm thinking Japan. Maybe... I'm not thinking China. Fan mounted as a hanging scroll, ink, gold wash, and mica on paper. What's mica? I'm going to look that up. Hold on. I'm going to look up what mica is. A group of natural sheet silicate minerals known for their shiny layered structure and ability to split into thin, flexible sheets. Okay. Cheating? Fuck you. Saw a wave of that in my corner of my eye. You know what? I'm actually not getting a Japanese vibe from this little constructed hut down here. You know what I mean? I feel like if this was Japanese, they'd be doing tricks on it right here at the corner. Maybe? I don't know. What is this even meant to depict? Wait, hold on. It can't be Japan. Doesn't Japan not have mountains like this? Isn't this literally like a famous Chinese mountain range? Isn't there like an environment in China? I know this from fucking like Mists of Pandaria or whatever. There's like a part of China where it's all really foggy, like jagged, vertical mountains with very little slope. I feel like it has to be China. But then from when? Also, China's really big. Usually, if it's from China, they just let you have the whole blob here. It's a fan, so it can't be that old. What if we did... Can we do like fan... Well... I feel like this kind of semi-representational painting was... Did China import it from Japan, or did Japan import it from China? China had to come up with it first. China was a big civilization back when everyone in Japan was like, I don't know, praying it to rivers or whatever. The China came up with everything first. I'm just gonna send it. No fucking way, dude. I nearly knocked over my coffee. At least we were close with the time. Jesus Christ. The composition is representative of the type of the landscape image popular Japanese ink painter in the late Muromachi period who took mono. I didn't even know they were doing art back then. At this point in time in Japan, weren't they all just fucking killing each other? Wasn't this before the shogunate consolidated the warring kingdoms and everyone? There was like the population of Japan was like 8 people and all of them were samurai. I thought, wasn't it like the 1600s where they were finally like, what if we settled down and started farming or whatever? But before then, they were all just like, I don't know. This is why I didn't want to do this. So I'm clearly having fun doing this. Little is known about the artist Toban, except he might have traveled extensively throughout the country during the time of the Ashikaga shogunate, coming to a close in the early 1570s. Fucking... Okay, this is the most Mayan thing I've ever seen in my life. This is the kind of shit Cortez was popping a boner to. This has to be like Central American. This is the shit the Spanish were like, we're going to melt it down into an ingot so it's slightly easier to transport back across the fucking Atlantic. Apart from that, though, I have no fucking clue. It's made of gold, so it never erodes. I have no idea. Maybe it's Latin American, not Central American. It's not Aztec, so I can go lower. What if I, like, hedge my bets here in Colombia? Because it doesn't look Aztec to me. It looks older than that. Can I just fucking, I don't know, man. I don't want to talk about it. That is really shiny. Clearly indigenous. Is that Aborigine? Like Australia? Or like some Oceania? Huh. Okay, you know what? I'm giving myself a little pat in the back for that one. You know what? I'm willing to... I got the time right. Okay, chat's praising me a little bit. Probably because there's not New Zealand Maori indigenous people in chat who'd mad as fuck at me. Somewhere right now, there's one Maori viewer who's doing like a war chant. They're gonna fucking come to my house and kill me. They love doing those. They do be like that. The Haku? Yeah. This has to be Chinese. Also, ugly as shit. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of this composition. I don't know, dog. Fucking send it. Not even remotely close. Seated dervish? Okay. Just get me through this. We need to do politics. Oh, thank you. Very helpful, the Met. Look at this. Look, thank you for all the additional information. Here's what it would look like if there were 50 pixels in the image. Well, it's got like a fish. I have no fucking... Oh, I forgot. You can get hints. Give me a hint on the location. North America? Okay, yeah, that kind of tracks. Oh, it's made of walrus ivory. That fucking tells us. I'm blocking it, but that says walrus ivory. That tells us. So walrus ivory. Are we thinking like up here, like Duwamish or fucking Cowichan or what? What are we thinking here with walrus ivory walrus? I don't know. Probably not too far off then. Oh wow. Okay, fucking a million years ago and all the way over there at like the Dinosaur Island. See final score? Final score, you're a retard. Top 64%. Phenomenal. Okay, can we move on? The only one we did good on, relative to the average here, we did well on the figure at the beginning, and we did well on the ceremonial acts. Oh, and like a little bit on the bottle. And on everything else, we were below the average here. I don't want to talk about it. I feel like this is a good warm-up. Does anyone feel like this is a good... I feel like this is good. I feel like this is a good warm-up for stream content. I feel like this is gonna make our brains big. You know? Okay, I'm turning chat back on. What's up? Unironically, yeah? Okay, cool. I played this with my friends for a bit, and I was like, damn, I suck at this. This would be good for chat, I feel. Now do Wordle? No. We're just gonna... The average for this kind of game probably knows more than average. Oh, of course. If the versus average was against the average knowledge of the American population, then you would be in the top 99 percentile every time, no matter what you selected. You might as well be playing against a randomized average. Yeah. You're obviously competing against, like, knowledgeable people here. But, you know, we can do better. We can do better. All right. Time to actually do politics now. Make this a pit segment. Anthropium intro. We might be seeing more of that. You called Papua New Guinea New Zealand? I don't want to talk about it. Remember how earlier the other day I was talking about how it's better for progressive people to express curiosity and ignorance about the world than for them to clam up and never express it because they're afraid of being called bigoted for not knowing? I would rather through the slow, grinding, agonizing process of engaging with this become more worldly than never touch it and hope that everyone just assumes I know at a glance, like, the origin of a 3,000-year-old axe or something. I'm basically what I'm saying is my ignorance is my shield. It's my bravery. Let's move it along. Some of us assume you don't know. That's probably extremely fair. I did see this. Super, super sad. Fires are raging all over the world right now. There's actually some fires look close to me in Spokane. But 2 firefighting helicopters in Greece crashed into each other. Their ropes got tangled is what happened. They were doing flybys, and I guess the wind, it caught the ropes and... Super sad. You know, they're fighting wildfires and just, yeah, really, really sad. Yeah, and there are fires locally, too. Spokane, 600 structures destroyed already. This is pretty close to my back door. Really, really nasty stuff. Just the whole world's, like, really burning right now. I know we keep talking about it, but, like, really nasty stuff.
Because as we take a look here across the region, we're going to be focusing on all of the level 3 evacuations. And the first one that I want to start with is still for the Old Trails fire, which is the largest level 3 evacuation.
Here, we can...
The Department of Natural Resources on the phone now with us to talk about the response. Thomas Kyle Millward joining us now. So, Thomas, thanks for being here. I want to get right to it. What's the focus right now from the Department of Natural Resources? Good morning.
Good morning, Tim. Thanks for having me.
I don't want to hear a phone call. I want to see videos of the fires. Yeah, let's appeal to the sensational. Oh, wow. They're burning like actual buildings. Sorry, I actually hadn't, like, caught an update on this. You know, normal when wildfires rage out of control, it's like first they take the forest and then they take, like, you know, like those one-off houses that are out there in the woods. They're getting like the actual suburbia areas here. Yeah, that's why I was so shocked. It's really, really bad. Ah, there's a dog in the car. Well, the dog's safe. I mean, the dog's in the car. Really, really nasty stuff. Here we go. Non-local news.
Overnight in Washington, entire blocks of homes seen burning. Firefighters unable to battle the flames in these neighborhoods, focusing instead on getting residents out.
It's a tragedy what we're seeing over there. When the sun rises in the morning, I think we're going to be in shock to see some of the scenes that emerge out of there.
Residents under evacuation orders, lines of cars backed up as people try to get out.
Over there is the fire that can potentially take everything that we worked for.
The local sports complex completely engulfed. A towering plume of smoke over Spokane as flames moved around the metro area. 3 separate fires burning at the same time, all pushed by strong wind. The governor declaring a state of emergency, issuing a burn ban through September.
Our state's facing a very serious situation with multiple fires. Our hearts go out to Washingtonians who are losing their homes and being evacuated.
And activating the National Guard to support firefighters. Spokane seeing massive plumes of smoke billowing over mountains and neighborhoods. Thick gray clouds covering the skies.
That's why chatters need to be prepared for an emergency. Yeah, I when I was young, my thinking was like, you store up food and water for an earthquake. That's because I grew up in LA. But like, you can't prepare for everything. Now I'm more of the mind of like, you really should have like a go pack. You should have a duffel bag that's always packed. You should have like in your house a large bag that like if a nuke went off, you can just grab that and leave immediately, no thinking, just grab it, go. That's it. You know, medical supplies, food, so on and so forth. There's a video quietly playing in the background, just autoplay on the news.
As air crews desperately try to combat the flames from above. The destructive inferno fueled by hot, dry, and windy conditions.
A lot of wind, a lot of influx.
Threatening at least 5,000 structures, scorching entire homes in its path, and leaving over 25,000 customers in the state without power this morning. Officials say there are at least 5 complex fires burning, more than 250,000 acres combined statewide.
My buddy in Chilan said the Little Giant fire jumped over Lake Chilan yesterday. That's a pretty big fire break overcome. This one's causing this major plume in Washington. Your link didn't work, but we can find on the fire tracker map. Yeah, look at this. These fires are raging into the city. This is like, I don't know if it's totally unprecedented, but it's 2 separate fires closing in on a pretty major city. Where's Lake Chilan? There's Lake Spokane. Where's Lake Chilan? I'm not as familiar with the environment over here. What's the population of Spokane? Hundreds of thousands. It's west. Over here, I assume? Spokane River? No, not that. Above Wenatchee? Okay, there's a lot of shit going on right now, is the problem. North of Wenatchee? Okay, I'm not familiar with where that is. That sounds... North of Wenatchee, north of Wenatchee. I'm looking. Search functions on the... I don't like using search functions. The gray's where it's ripped through. I mean, I assume it'd be like... Over there? Yeah, you're right. More west? Okay. It's Jesus Christ, look at all this. Oh, there it is. Lake Chilan. Oh, wow. This is the... Yeah. This is where it jumped over. That is a really big fire break. How big of a distance is that? Does this thing have a ruler tool? High winds can do that. 300 meters is this little bar down here. So what? This is a kilometer? The fire jumped a kilometer? Yeah, it looks like it. Or maybe a little more than a kilometer. Jesus Christ. From ash? Yeah. The smoldering embers, the wind blows it. It's a mile wide. Basically impossible to build fire breaks wide enough. El Nino pushes dry Arctic air into Washington, and the rains that normally hit Washington are being pushed into the southwest where they'll cause flooding. Only the beginning should get worse by October. Yeah, it's only going to get worse, I'm afraid. On the plus side, you know, the fuel can only burn once. Every area that's had too much fuel buildup is going to burn through, and after that it's going to be tough for the same level of wildfire to race through it. Like, I'm not trying to be glib. That actually is a benefit. Unlike a lot of the natural disasters that are going to get worse, fires are going to have like a peak period, and after that, they're going to die down a little bit because we're just not producing enough. There's not enough foliage for the wildfires to rip through. I don't know enough about what Africa is supposed to look like in terms of wildfires. I don't really know what this means. I'm sorry. And you've got some bad ones in Greece. This is where the helicopters crashed, I assume? Are the Canadian crews helping? I think the Canadian crews are probably busy. We don't focus on Africa enough. I completely agree. Yeah, anyway, get a go bag. Yeesh. While we're on the topic, hold on.
The Modrite fire scorching more than 40,000 acres, only 19% contained and more than 600 firefighters deployed. Wildfires erupting across the West. At least 30 fires raging in Oregon, more than half the state facing severe drought conditions in what could be the state's worst wildfire season on record. The Roe Creek Complex fire there blazing through more than 300,000 acres, just 55% contained.
And Whit, firefighters are hoping to get a bit of a break today with less wind and cooler temperatures, a high of only 75 degrees and clouds today. That would all help, but the damage here has already been done. Whit.
It sure has a ways to go there. Alex Stone, thank you.
Well, the damage has been done and will continue to be done. The damage is continuing.
After years of battle over its use and a long-running drought, states that rely on the Colorado River are facing the prospect of further cutbacks. The river supplies nearly 40 million people across 7 states and northwestern Mexico and is vital to agriculture across the west and southwest. But years of gridlock among the states have prompted the federal government to step in. A new blueprint released today lays out new requirements for managing the shrinking river. Some scenarios could eventually lead to steep cuts, but the most immediate effects will be felt over the next 2 years. Our science correspondent, Miles O'Brien, is here to explain what's at stake and what could be in store, part of our series, Tipping Point. Miles, it's always great to see you. So for the unfamiliar...
This is going to cost so much more than we had invested in combating climate change. Yeah, I feel like probably for the rest of, I don't know, I can't say for the rest of our species' existence, but like at the very least for the next few hundred years, fighting the climate is probably going to be like one of the biggest jobs. Like if you probably a significant percentage of all humans will have their employment rooted in some way or another in managing the climate. You know, whether that be the maintenance of flood protection infrastructure or fighting wildfires or whatever. It could be a million things. We're going to have to do... It's going to take an unbelievable amount of labor to make the planet habitable.
Explain how it is that 7 states rely on the Colorado River.
Yeah, this is a problem, Jeff, that has roots that are more than 100 years old. You have to go back to when the river was divvied up in 1922, the Colorado River Compact, dividing it into the upper basin, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, New Mexico, and the lower basin, California, Arizona, and Nevada. Each of them was assured 7.5 million acre feet, that's about 2.4 trillion gallons of water. And that was a number, not a percentage, kind of set in stone. The problem is that agreement occurred at a particularly wet time for the river. And
the problem is not that it occurred at a particularly wet time for the river. The problem is that no state or federal government has been willing to challenge the capital interests invested in using the water from the river. Scientists have known for ages now how much water is running through the river and the fact that we overtax the Colorado. This wasn't like a little oopsie-daisy scientific fuck-up. The scientists have always known. It's just nobody's been willing to challenge the farmers.
Over time, the river has not delivered anywhere near that amount of water. And over the past 25 years, during a climate
we could have adjusted it at any point. At any point in the past century, we could have said, here's the actual amount of water that runs through the Colorado seasonally, and here's how much you get to use. But we haven't, because we can't challenge wealth. Nobody can challenge wealth.
Fueled epic drought, it's become even more acute. The river is now 20% less flow than was envisioned in 1922, and it's very difficult for the 7 states to negotiate with a pie that is shrinking that fast. And so
I'm from Wyoming. The farmers and ranchers have a chokehold in their legislature. Yeah, it's unfortunately, like, this is a problem. It's a problem with capitalism. It's a problem with democracy. You're running into like a set of like a collection of combined unified interests that basically overwhelm any, scientific input on the subject. The rational thing here would be for the strong arm of the state to just rule with an iron fist and decree what is necessary. But nobody can do that anymore. Teddy Roosevelt could, FDR could. There were leaders in the past who could, but capital has weakened our institutions. The only relevant voice in these decisions now is just local petty capitalists, ranchers, farmers. Those are the only people with anything worth listening to, essentially. Everyone else has been completely drowned out.
Are at loggerheads.
The states have known this has been coming for years. Why haven't they been able to reach a deal?
It's just difficult to share cuts like this when things are diminishing. And
well, strong state in the USSR dried out the RLC. Right, I'm not saying any strong state could do it. I'm saying you would need a strong state to do it. The Soviet Union was not a workers' democracy.
What has happened is the federal government, in the form of the Bureau of Reclamation, which runs the big dams along the river, the Glen Canyon Dam, which creates Lake Powell, the Hoover Dam, which creates Lake Mead, those 2 giant reservoirs, seeing critical shortages there, all-time lows there, has decided it's time to step in. And so what they're saying, although the rules haven't come out yet, they released an environmental impact statement, which lays out a 10-year plan which allows...
Here's a way to show your point. In the G7 meeting, there were CEOs sitting alongside world leaders. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. The G7 has some special lunchtime guests this year: Sam Altman, Demis Hassabis, and Dario Amore. Yeah, that shows... I mean, that's a relatively straightforward way of understanding the problem, I would say. Yeah. And why not? A lot, like, Sam Altman has, like, himself more political power than, leadership from France does. Easily.
It to adapt to the hydrology of the river. As there's less water, they will make decisions on how much water they will discharge, and making decisions about how healthy the reservoirs are and how much of a shortage farmers and cities south of those dams will have to face. But it's a
it's not the farmers directly. Nothing is anything directly but capital. Weren't we talking about this just a couple of weeks ago? How what was his name? I have his book over there. David Graeber said that he wrote about back in the 1970s, fossil fuel executives wrote the government and essentially said, we know that our policies are destroying the world. Please regulate us. We do not want to destroy the world, but right now we are legally incentivized to maximize shareholder value. That is literally the law. If we don't do that, we will be replaced with people who will. The incentive structure that exists right now will end the world. Please regulate the fossil fuel companies. This was said by the CEOs of these fossil fuel companies. This is the point. This is the point of the historical or the material dialectic of historical materialism. It's not about any individual. It might be the case that the average, oligarch is personally a detestable human, but their moral, the how much their heart weighs against a feather is immaterial. It's the incentives. It's always been the incentives. Any individual farmer could be a good person. Now, most of them aren't, but they could be. It wouldn't make a difference. You could. It's one of the reasons why I've always felt very contemptuous towards those, those socialist cafes, socialist bookstores that pop up. Your personal opinions can't overwrite the modality. You can't form pockets of socialism in a framework of capitalism. You can make the most socialist bookstore in the world. You're still buying books that are printed on paper that was made in mills in the third world that are deforesting to get there's the superstructure is what matters at the end of the day. The superstructure ends the world. Anything you do within the superstructure is your moral feasance. It's an expression of your personal contentedness, you know. And I'm not saying there's no point in individual action. What I'm saying is your eyes always have to be locked in on the superstructure. Better CEOs won't fix the problem. Better farmers won't fix the problem. Better businesses, better stores. None of it will fix the problem. The problem is the superstructure, you know. You can buy your clothes from like an ethical, sustainable, made in America outlet, but it doesn't change the broader dynamic. You might be contributing to a solution, but the superstructure, you know, the superstructure is what it is.
Difficult situation, and the rules will probably involve some significant cutbacks, and those cutbacks ultimately may not be enough. So we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out.
And the federal government is now stepping in. What's the government doing about all this?
Well, it's kind of unprecedented. Sarah Porter, an expert at Arizona State University, said it's the first time in decades that the federal government has stepped in.
Nice.
You know, it is a problem which ultimately leads us to agriculture, Jeff. 75% of the water used on the Colorado River is used by agriculture. Cities in the West have grown rapidly, but they've done a very good job conserving. And so as a result, closing the gap is frankly going to mean asking farmers to use less water, plant crops that need less water, or getting out of business.
Doesn't Nestle own a crazy amount of what should be public water rights? Yes, and to that I say, not really their fault, huh? Nestle is a uniquely evil corporation, but it's only because they've been allowed to be. We've created a legal incentive structure where maximizing profit for shareholders includes fighting out the upcoming water wars. We have made it legal for them to do this. You know, it's under international law, it's legal for businesses to sue nations who affect their profits. A country that regulates a business can be sued by that business for cutting into their profits. This is a part of the international neoliberal world order that America has centered. Corporate courts that allow, like, say, Nestle or Coca-Cola, if just to put, like, Mali, for example, or Niger wanted to regulate the acquisition of water, they could be taken to court by Nestle, and they could lose. The international community could demand that Mali or Niger or whatever gives money to Nestle for the crime of regulating their water use. It's all about the superstructure. Like Nestle, these people might be individually evil, but if you got rid of them, they would be replaced. The incentives are what matters. And the reason we don't change the incentives is because the people who get to choose the incentives are in league with the people who benefit from them, obviously.
Entirely. Here's a little more on that from Colorado State University climate scientist Brad Udall.
You have large municipalities like Phoenix, which is 40% dependent on Colorado River water, or Tucson, perhaps 80% dependent, or Los Angeles, 25% dependent, that frankly can't take a back seat to agriculture.
I know you hate this question, but then what the fuck is to be done? I'm really sorry, but I genuinely believe that every sensible theorist, when it comes to climate science or economics, has decided for decades now that there's nothing that can be done in the immediate sense, that we're just going to, like, essentially destroy the planet. I think, like, it's one of the reasons why I'm sorry. I feel like we're starting to stream off on a bad note here, but like, have you guys seen? I've seen this go viral twice. It's a TikTok video, and the TikTok caption is, when you get to the end of a book about policy, and then the end of the book is like, but don't worry, there's still hope on the way. If local communities organize and agitate and combine resources, then we can do da-da-da. And the idea is that these books have a bunch of empty platitudes at the end about how we can, like, wokely defeat the global systems that have been exhaustively examined in the book and found to be overwhelmingly powerful and so on. Like, it's all like co-posting at the end. I don't care for this, you know. I've said for years now, we are going to run into the wall very, very hard. The best that we can do is build systems that can endure that, so that when you know, we're picking up the pieces, we can get started a little bit easier. You know what I mean? It's the same reason you have a go bag in your car or in your house or whatever. You don't have the go bag so that you can prevent a climate disaster from happening, an earthquake or a wildfire, whatever. You have it so you can quickly manage yourself and rebuild afterwards. Basically, I consider the project of this entire stream, to the extent that there is a project beyond, you know, making fat dough and buying clothes, to provide a kind of ideological go bag. right? Like I don't think there's anything ideologically. Go bag sounds like prepper shit. Everyone should have a go bag. That's not prepper shit. Please God, don't let the prepper are like people who are living out in the woods with a bunch of ammunition and firearms and who like are asocial or antisocial. Prepper does not mean have a plan in case of an emergency, okay? It's super, super normal to have a go bag. Anyway, I consider the whole stream an ideological go bag in a way, because I don't think there's anything that we can really do to avoid the disaster. I just think you have to be prepared, you know. When people are like, so what do we do then? There's no hope. What you're basically telling me is like, if any natural disaster ever hit your house, you would just give up and die. Like if an earthquake hit your house, you wouldn't run out of the house with your go bag. You'd be like, well, there's nothing that I can do to stop my house from crumbling, so I'm just going to stand here and go down with the ship, you know? No, you have to have a go bag.
You can't have 500 farmers taking water from 5 million people in Phoenix. It just won't work politically. It makes no sense economically.
More details on the actual plan next week, but we do know the parameters now, Jeff. It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. Probably almost certain this is going to end up one way or another in the Supreme Court. Proving once again the adage attributed to Mark Twain, whiskey is for drinking, water is for fighting over, Jeff.
Great. Well, my fucking state is on fire. Apparently it's going to get quite a bit worse, too. The winds are about to start blowing all that Spokane wildfire smoke westward towards Seattle. Thankfully, the Cascades are going to keep us from the worst of it. The mountain range right here that my mouse cursor is going over, but it's still gonna blow over in my direction, so that'll be fun. And also, apparently, we're not going to get any rain here for 2 weeks. Great. Just no rain in the Pacific Northwest for 2 weeks. Phenomenal. I thought there was always rain in the Pacific Northwest. Well, there should be. Certainly when there's a wildfire going on. No rain here, huh? Buddy, you think 2 weeks is bad? It's the Pacific Northwest, and also there are wildfires raging. It would be nice if there was rain. Due to drought, a Hungarian nuclear power plant responsible for 40% of their electricity will stop operating. Cool. Hungary faces the most critical 5 days ahead as a record drought in Central Europe has forced Budapest to shut down a nuclear power plant that generates 40% of the country's electricity. That's great. We really can't pull that water from anywhere else. There's really like no way of diverting. Oh boy. Jesus. 40% of the country's electricity. Why is it only critical 5 days? Is it raining in 5 days? Like the rivers are going to be replenished? The West is falling? Yeah, like genuinely though. It's like not just the West, though we are worse prepared than China is for sure. China is going to get hit with some really, really, really bad stuff, but the state is at least interested in readiness. The same can't be said about us. Well, Hungary is hardly the West, Lamau. Okay, all right, okay. You're not wrong, but let's not... All right, let's move on. Too many bad vibes at the start of stream. Where's that rapist Republican? Let's all take a moment. Let's all take a moment here. Max Miller. Max Miller. Funniest damn state. Which one? I know, you're right. I'm not really giving you much to work with here. Max Miller said some funny ass shit. Some really, really, really funny shit. Hold on, let me see if I can If I can get the deets on this one. How do you address it? Hold on, let me see if I can. I see the clip. Is the full clip just like 2 minutes? Yeah, it is. Okay, here we go. Went live on X on Sunday morning. Thank you, Fox News. Okay, I actually haven't been keeping up on all of the details here. Is this the guy that, like, abused the daughter of a fellow congressman? Ohio Senator Bernie Moreno, Max Miller's former father-in-law, wrote a big post about him on Twitter. Yeah, so it's actually some Republican on Republican infighting. I mean, I don't know if his wife is a Republican. She did marry a Republican congressman, though, so I'm not too inclined to, like, assume she's, like, a secret liberal. The point is, it's on their side of the fence this time. So here's Bernie Moreno from Ohio. Yeah. As a father and husband, I can tell you the last 2 years have been pure hell for my wife, Bridget, our daughter, Emily, me, and our entire family in the aftermath of Emily's divorce. It's been horrific to watch this play out in full public view, all while knowing an innocent 2-year-old girl is caught in the middle. Hope to keep this private, but Max Miller's increasingly erratic and dangerous behavior has made that impossible. As he has admitted privately, Max Miller needs serious psychological help. He's a danger to my daughter, and I hold my breath every minute he has custody of my granddaughter. If there are any basic standards of character required to hold elected office, Max Miller fails them. He should not serve in the House of Representatives. I believe Max Miller needs to seek professional help to end the clear pattern of abuse he has left in his wake. I believe he should not be free to continue endangering others until he does. And our boy Max Miller, he's not actually our boy, not even a little bit, put out a video defending himself, which contains a truly, genuinely unbelievable defense here. I was saying, I tweeted this, I love it when Republicans go live having not consulted a PR team or having ever spoken to, like, any woman. Like, not running it by anybody beforehand, you know? Here.
My former wife has claimed that during a custody exchange at my home that day, I assaulted her. Here's what actually happened. And I have the Ring doorbell footage that backs it up. She came to my home in a good mood, and we have text messages to prove it, which you'll have, to pick up our daughter early for a friend's birthday party. She was inside my house for several minutes.
Anyone else agree that just his facial expression and physiognomy should be enough to conclude that he's guilty? By the way, the allegations against him are extensive, severe, and well corroborated. So this is not a question of whether or not he's guilty. But he genuinely looks like a psychopath. I'm getting, like, the uncanny valley thing, like the, you know, super uncomfortable, yeah. Also, the audio's kind of cut up here. Is it also in the Fox News video?
Too many reporters accepted accusations as fact before examining the evidence. Too many stories were written with a predetermined...
Let me just go straight to his Twitter. Twitter, Max Miller. Because the clip we were looking at was, like, a little bit cut up, you know? Let me, Man, the whole thing is 19 minutes? Do we care that much? Or do we just want to watch the special super duper bad bit right here?
It's when she left. The video shows her walking out, carrying our daughter calm, in the same good mood, showing no distress whatsoever. And as they left, you can hear me say, "Goodbye, I love you, and I love you, Ruthie." Literally.
Would an abuser say "I love you" to the wife he's abusing? Big questions here.
Telling my ex-wife that I still cared for her. Does that sound like somebody who would just walk out and who have been violently thrown a wall and been abused?
It's truly, like, no PR person consulted, no woman talked to. Nobody would abuse their wife and then tell her "I love you."
She didn't call the police after that. She didn't go to the hospital, ladies and gentlemen. Do you want to know what she...
Ladies and gentlemen, holy shit.
Did? She went straight to a child's birthday party. The very next day, we had a friendly phone call about...
Actually, so uncanny, dude. Look at his fucking eyes. It's actually unbelievable how, like, off-putting he looks.
Our daughter's upcoming hospital procedure, and I drove in from Washington to be there for it. 6 days later, she offered to cook empanadas for me for dinner, just 2 days later after this alleged incident. The day after that, she invited me and my girlfriend, and which you'll have in text messages, to join her and our daughter at a playground. And that day, I just went with my former wife to the playground to spend time with our daughter. A week later, on February 15th, she wrote to me in her own words, which you will see, "I think it's great you and I are in a friendlier place."
Oh my God. Yeah, that doesn't sound weird at all.
She then offered me more extra overnights with our daughter, which I can prove to every single one of you is recently. Every one of these messages is time-stamped on our court-sanctioned co-parenting app and is all in the packet. Only weeks later did the story of February 1st assault appear, so ask yourself, if I had assaulted her, would she have offered to cook me dinner 6 days later?
Genuinely incredible. By the way, this is I'm sorry for lighting you guys up on this, but like this is why I wasn't tolerating any talkback on the like Graham Plattner allegations either, because sometimes some of you motherfuckers were sounding like this. Not quite this bad, but very like, you know, anytime there's a public rape, abuse, whatever, DV, anything like that, accusation, you get people coming out with the same questions. And the thing I love about this is that this guy not only has these same misconceptions, obviously he's an abuser, but like he's so unaware of how this sounds that he just ran with it. No PR guy, no consultation, just right to the camera. Would a guy really do that? Abuse his wife, and then she would continue to cook dinner for him after? It's especially funny here because I feel like the number one stereotype in existence of an abusive relationship is a guy beating his wife for not making dinner right. This is like a trope from the 50s or whatever. Like, you cooked the meal wrong, and then the wife's like, and then makes the dinner again. It's literally like the cartoon depiction, not to say it doesn't happen, of DV. And then, but unironically, he's like, could you really think that would happen? Incredible stuff. Yeah, pow, straight to the moon. Dude casually exposes he uses needles or doesn't, I swear. I don't know what you're referring to here. Is there more audio leaked? Here, I'll take a look at the other audio in a second. I'm sorry, I'm just entranced. I'm entranced by the idea of a guy who has a successful job in politics, but is so unaware of how humans are meant to act that they would just run to a camera with this. They really are freaks, you know? The average politician, there's a reason why like 99% of the time, if a progressive politician is running, there's loads and loads of videos of them interacting normally with people. Like you can see Mamdani or AOC or Rashida Tlaib, tons and tons of videos of them acting normal with people. But then when you take a look at like the average politician, they're like this grinning skin suit doppelganger freak. Like Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, any of these like mainstream centrist politicians or whatever, or like any Republican, by the way, like any Republican, you know what I mean? You see them interacting with normal people and they're like skinwalkers, genuinely, like every Republican. Because they're all like this. They have no idea what human behavior is like. You know what I mean?
Would she have invited me to spend an afternoon at the playground with her and our daughter?
Joe Biden was the exception as a moderate Dem. Joe Biden was an exception. And I think the reason for that is because Joe Biden was moderate socially, but Joe Biden was actually never caught up in the financial wing of the Democratic Party. Joe Biden spent his entire life a middle-class guy. He's actually exceptional in this regard. For him to be a legacy politician, but not really having a bunch of wealth. Like, he could have used his time in the Senate probably to do a bunch of insider trading and get wealthy, but he just didn't, really. He was a relatively normal person. I think this is actually the reason why they ran with Joe Biden so strongly after Hillary Clinton lost. Joe Biden not only had the benefit of being the VP under Obama, very popular politician, but also Joe Biden just did not have that stink of like corporate DNC Washington politics the way that Hillary Clinton did. And in fairness, he really didn't. He really didn't. Joe Biden's problems as a politician were really not because he was this like creepy Wall Street guy or whatever. He was just in many ways ideal. He was very arrogant, right? Very arrogant, very self-centered, and also ideologically a moderate. And it turns out being a moderate on Israel is like Hitler shit, you know?
You have written that we were in a friendlier
that was from
place.
Him, not me.
No, she wouldn't have, ladies and gentlemen.
That JD Vance donut clip comes to mind, or like anything Pete Buttigieg does. You know what I mean? Pete Buttigieg, another great example. Military freak, works in finance, corporate. You know, like spends his entire life. He acts like he came out of a vat to be a politician. Gavin Newsom. Yeah, generally speaking, the closer you are to money, the closer you are to finance, the more inhuman you become, the more it warps and twists you, like exposure to warpstone or whatever. Okay, so what's this audio?
I have gone into your backpack because I truly do believe you have a drug problem.
Okay. What drugs?
Well, first it was weed, and then I found needles next to your bed.
You found needles?
Yes, I did, and I took a picture of it. So you can try to deny it to me.
Okay.
I don't know why that's funny. That's actually really fucking scary.
Okay, you found
And was a huge impetus of why I left.
Okay. Go for it. Test me for whatever you would like.
No, Max, that's even...
I'm sorry, can I interrupt this by saying, look at how psychotically high, or sorry, how low the armhole insertions are on modern day off-the-rack suits. Look at this. It's like a fucking wingsuit. You raise your arms even a tiny bit, you've pulled the entire jacket torso up with you. What is the point of having a suit where the circumference of the arm itself is like I don't know, like 18 inches, but then the arm entry point is like 32 inches. You're like a flying squirrel. Look at this, like I raise my arm and the sleeve is the same width here as it is to the connection point, but for some reason his suit, it connects like here. Bro, time and place. It's always time, and it's always the place for me to be autistic. Check your ableist ass up when a white autistic man is speaking.
No, Max, that's even scary that that's a thing. I honestly, that actually freaks me the fuck out.
It's not a thing, and you didn't find it next to a bed.
Yes, I did, Max. Yes, the fuck I did.
Then it's not mine. If it's next to the bed...
Then who else's needle is in the bedroom drawer, Max?
No idea, but I can tell you 1,000% I've never had a needle in my bedroom drawer. 1,000%.
You've never had a needle with...
Jewish word of honor. Nope, Jewish word of honor.
What? Is Max Miller Jewish? No, but he worked as a Lulu... Wait, is he? He worked at a Lululemon store before joining the Marine Reserve in 2013. See? I've never heard Jewish word of honor before. What does that mean? Oh, he is Jewish. Okay. All right.
Not in my bedroom drawer. Not in my bedroom drawer. I have never had a needle in my bedroom drawer, and that is not a lie.
Where are they, Max? Because that's where I found it.
Nope. I don't have needles in the house. You can come check. I've never put a needle in the drawer.
I will send you a picture of it then.
Please do. Okay, but I understand. And the other thing too, and I completely agree with you, but the other thing too is 8 months prior, okay, I want to be clear and have an understanding about this. I told you I was doing TRT and then I had stopped. I want to be clear because you acknowledged that and you knew I was... TRT? Testosterone replacement therapy. You knew I was doing that. I know this for a fact. So you've already acknowledged it. You already know that behavior was going on, and you already know that it has ceased for over several months. So
what you told me was you did it several times, and that was it.
Correct.
Right. So when I found a needle, I had no idea what the fuck it was. I also asked you several times if you were still doing it, and you said no.
Huh. Well, that doesn't make him look very good. Hold on, I saw one other clip here that he released, apparently.
It never was done to hurt you, and you know that. You are weaponizing this because of my previous allegation.
And if you knew it was because you went into my room when I was crying.
So
and
Emily,
you started crying saying, I didn't need to hurt you. I didn't need
Apparently he released this, by the way.
to hurt you. Why are you scared of me? Why are you scared of me?
I didn't mean to hurt you. It wasn't done with intent. You just said it yourself. You literally just said it yourself. It wasn't done to hurt you. And I told you before that not to come over to me and start screwing around with me.
The tone of voice with which he's speaking is really the most telling. No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think it's like, I don't want to armchair psychologize too much. I think that this guy reads as a psychopath. Okay, when I say psychopath, I mean it in the colloquial sense, like a freak with bad moral and personal vibes. I don't mean it in like the DSM-5 sense. I'm not trying to like, you know, but like the easy read on the colloquial definition of psychopathy here is the tone with which he speaks, for sure.
It was Emily. You're taking a playful incident and making something nefarious.
I think the technical term is antisocial behavior, but like that's such a broad, you know.
You have hot water.
Emily, going out of the faucet, it does not get to a temperature of boiling water. It does not.
Put it on when you get home, Max, and see if you can get it.
I did it, and I tested it, and I had our attorneys test it because I figured that this is what you were going to come at me with.
It's literally at you.
But literally, it's like standing under a hot shower, and we already have someone to go ahead and combat this if this is what you're going to do.
Did he like dump a hot water, like a pan of hot water on it? What?
Emily, going out of the faucet, it does an incident and making something nefarious.
It's not playful. You have hot water.
Emily, going out of the faucet, it does not.
Like the spray faucet, like you pull. Okay, gotcha. Damn, this guy's been on one, huh? Anyway, apparently it looks like he's one of the incumbent Republicans who's going to lose his seat to a Brian Poindexter. That's a last name. Here's a picture of him with Netanyahu. Great. That's great. Phenomenal. There he is, yeah, over there on the left. I wouldn't know. I can't tell white people apart. Excellent. God, they all, especially Netanyahu here, looks like a fucking freak, dude. He looks like unbelievably nightmarish blunt rotation. It looks like I'm being pitched like a really low-rent reality TV show here. You know? Look at that, like his head is huge. You look at his shoes. I don't know what's worse, the fucking dress sneakers or the snakeskin fucking boots this lady's wearing with her awful pantsuit. I'm sorry. It's conservatism is where art goes to die. Really, truly abysmal stuff. But yeah, apparently the polling's looking pretty bad. His favorability is super low in Ohio 7. Being evil makes you fashionable. I genuinely, truly do believe this to an extent, but it's a modern kind of evil. Like, the Rockefellers had great taste. Not all of them, but, you know, like traditionally wealthy oil magnates or railroad barons would fill their house up with, you know, pretty interesting stuff. But nowadays, the average rich person just lives in like a gray McMansion. I think that there's like a capital influence that erodes a person's artistic sensibilities. Like, I'll put it this way. If you went 150 years in the past to like a Rockefeller, or if you went 1,000 years in the past to like a nobleman or a monarch, I bet you could have good conversations with them about art. Not necessarily all of them, but I bet you like the way the incentives were structured back then, I bet a lot of them were like learned people, might be super evil, but you could have a conversation with them. But if you talked with a modern day, like wealthy oligarch, I genuinely think it'd be like talking to like a guy from Jersey Shore. Like you could not have any conversation with them at all. It would like their brains are just gone. They would know like they all have like an Andrew Tate-esque open contempt for art. They have no opinions on it. They have no real beliefs. It's just money. You know what I mean? I genuinely think like there's no cultural incentive for a person to be learned. And that's a Western thing, by the way. As we've repeatedly noted in our cross-cultural conversations, members of the Chinese Communist Party or members of Iran's government, oftentimes extremely well educated. Like, it's kind of a joke a little bit. Like, the average member of their governments, we're talking people with like MAs or PhDs or multiple of such. They're just it's just a different incentive structure. America has been hollowed out by capital in a way that's unique, but eventually it'll come for everything. You know, it's like the black hole. It really is like the pail, I'm not going to say any more than that because I don't want to spoil for some people, but it's like the pail, you know, eventually there will only be it. The world is in a process of consumption, and everything is being, it's like Ice 9. You know, Ice 9, Kurt Vonnegut's book, I forget which one it was. It's not The Sirens of Titan, Cat's Cradle. It's Cat's Cradle. It's like Ice 9. You know what I mean? Capitalism was like the little granule of Ice 9, and you drop it into the ocean, and eventually all other forms of of water are they become that becomes everything. You know what I mean? If everything will be Ice 9, and our hope is to survive that process so we can build a new world afterwards. I'm so sorry. We got sidetracked again. So yeah, Brian Poindexter's probably going to win. Thank goodness. Somebody said Brian Poindexter's running on a pro-worker. On a pro-worker campaign? That's nice. Good images of some Gilded Age mansion millionaires. Yeah. I think that like the absolute artlessness of the wealthy is a relatively modern phenomenon. I think that if you go back, if you go back some length of time, you'll find that like typically wealthy people were relatively like cultured consumers of art, not producers but consumers of art, and would have at least like developed opinions on the subject. Whereas nowadays there's like just an utter artlessness to the wealthy. Every wealthy guy now is like a Saudi Arabian. You know what I mean? Like an Emirati. Like all of them, like all wealth now is like just absolute tastelessness, gild your toilets. It's all Trump. It's Trump's world, man. It's Trump's world. What's the deadline for Miller to be replaced? I'm pretty sure we're past that. I don't know if Miller's going to like drop out. I'm not entirely sure. Max Miller responded to his former father-in-law. Oh, that ratio. Will you play Zero Parades? Are we fucking talking about that right now? God, you people. Do you think it's because of the loss of patronage culture? Listen, we're not talking about this right now. We're talking about Max Miller. But I will say, I think that capitalism, where the primary way of generating wealth is producing goods and services, is capable of producing an artful capital class. But financial capitalism is not. I think that if a businessman makes their money by providing goods and services, it requires an engagement with the real world, a kind of intelligence and creativity, a cutthroat attitude that allows a person to engage meaningfully with the real world, with the material world. But financial capitalism is totally divorced from the material world. That's the whole point. It's all speculation, debt trades, and financial gaming, which means, as a consequence, I think that these people become detached from the world, detached from materialism, and they just float adrift, lost egos with no checks or balances on their personalities. So they all metastasize into these fucking freaks, these fucking freak people that are unlike us, just completely unlike us. That's my opinion, personally. I think financial capital is a uniquely erosive force. So yeah, anyway, I guess the point of this is that Max Miller is kind of a psychopath. Bernie Moreno's a fucking coward? Yes, 100%. It's not an old money, new money distinction. New money historically referred to the bourgeois, or the bourgeoisie, replacing the wealth and power of the landed aristocracy. That was the original old new money distinction. I guess there's a new one now because the landed aristocracy isn't really like a meaningful, not at least in America, it's not. Yeah, whatever. Anyway. Roid raged freak Max Miller. No, we don't need his name. Roid raged freak. Roid raged GOP freak exposed for domestic abuse fumbles his response. Something there. Something there. Something there. Let me close some of these tabs. I've got like 50 open. Close this, close that, close this. Something, we might be preventing prion disease. That's pretty cool. This was published in 2015. What relevance is this? New Zionist Milat Kiros interview. Okay, hold on. Let me get ahead of this one because I actually saw this drama. Milat Kiros, Colorado won, pro-Palestinian, so pro-Palestinian, she was a lawyer and she lost her job for being pro-Palestinian. And then she ran for office after losing her job. This is a clip chimp. She is being clip chimped here. She has clarified this. Oh, this is an 8-minute clip here. She misspoke in an interview. Hold on, let's just watch this.
Recognize the rights of the Palestinian people, including the right of return, the right to resist military occupation, and the right of self-determination.
Remember, PV canvassed for her, or phone bagged for her. I'm not sure if they canvassed. Milat Kiros is good. She's good. Educated, learned, very young, committed professional. She is so principled, she was willing to lose her job as a lawyer, defending the Palestinian people. Like, I think that her ethics and credibility speak for itself. So keep that in mind.
Determination in a free Palestine with Jerusalem as the capital.
I think it's up to the Palestinians through their right of self-determination to determine a capital or whatever that statehood would look like. But protecting their right to self-determination and everything else that you said.
Right of return, including the right of return. Okay. End all military and economic aid.
Why is she baby-faced? Because she's 3 years younger than I am.
To Israel.
Yes.
It's no surprise to you this is a flashpoint in your campaign. Yeah. What I have learned to understand about your position about the Middle East is that you hope for an Israel and Palestine that can live in peace together. Your quote was, perhaps it is naive to believe that people in Palestine and Israel might one day live together as neighbors in peace without fear of persecution under a new government, but it is not hopeless, and most importantly, it is not anti-Semitic. I take you at your word that this does not come from a anti-Semitic place in your heart.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for that charity.
There are many Jews who believe very strongly in a two-state solution. It is their view that the only way to reliably guarantee the security of the Jewish people after centuries of persecution that culminated in the Holocaust is to have a Jewish state. Why is that
I understand this is kind of like a down the road, like longer discussion to have, but it's worth remembering. And I'm sorry, this comes across kind of whataboutism, but like this charity, this deference is not extended to any of the other minority groups that were killed in the Holocaust. What about, for example, the Roma people? You know, they are also a famously stateless people that were killed en masse and did and now continue to face an enormous amount of oppression. You know, the gay state. Sure, I don't think you can have a gay state. But what about like the Romani? Listen, I'm not saying the Jews weren't specifically targeted. They absolutely were. Like there was a unique character to the persecution of Jewish people in the Holocaust. I don't know. This is just not like the Kurdish people are literally the world's largest stateless group of people, a distinct ethnic group with a long-standing cultural you know, tied to the land, et cetera, no state there. There's so many caveats to these arguments that I think nobody would be willing to follow through to their logical conclusion. Where would the gay state be located? Palestine, obviously. Just really throw a flashbang in there.
Turn misplaced.
Well, you know, first and foremost, I would argue that I don't think anyone has actually presented a truly effective proposal for a two-state solution. For example, a two-state solution would have to resolve the fact that there are 750,000 illegal settlers in the West Bank from Israel. If we're being serious about a two-state solution, then that would mean expelling 750,000 people from the West Bank. I think a two-state solution also ignores the reality of how Israel was created as a state and robs the Palestinian people.
Okay, so keep in mind, remember, the reason we're talking about this at all, Millet Kiros is good. Let me just show you the response, the drama she's getting right now. There's a section of this interview, we're going to see it soon, that was quote tweeted. Millet Kiros lost her job because of pro-Palestine advocacy. She built her entire campaign around mobilizing on this issue. And now that she's won the Dem primary, quote, my greatest concern right now is that the state of Israel is losing support across the political spectrum. In this interview, disingenuous left Twitter types are attacking her for being like a hyper-Zionist. They're really taking this one quote, that one line, that one clip chimp, and inferring it to mean that she has like bent the knee to the Zionist establishment in an interview where she's like, well, you can't have a two-state solution because of all the illegal settlers. It is such a bad faith, like carnivore or self-cannibalizing, Fed behavior style of attack where like, and by the way, she's posted on this, she's clarified exactly what she meant. She immediately ran to Twitter, Millet Kiros ran to Twitter to explain exactly what she meant and what her mistake in communicating was. But like, what an unbelievably unproductive attitude. Like what a reprehensible, like, oh, I'm just waiting for the needle to drop. I want to absolve myself of the moral responsibility of caring about these electoral candidates. So I'm just going to like lie to myself and everyone else. I'm just going to lie to myself and pretend that like, you know, she said something that invalidates her as a serious contender for my support, so now I just get to be smug from a distance. Hold on one second. I'm just muting a bunch of people because they're arguing about something totally fucking unrelated. Sorry.
Of their right to self-determination as well.
So tell me then, in the context of a one-state solution, what concrete institutions would protect Jews if they no longer control the government or the military and find themselves in a minority?
It gets back to what does it mean to be a democracy? Because
I love how we have to keep, in this extremely illiberal political environment, we have to keep re-explaining to liberals what liberalism is. Like, literally all of this is post-emancipation of slaves argument, you know? Like, okay, so if blacks get to vote, like what's going to prevent... It's literally all great replacement stuff. If we allow non-whites to immigrate, won't they eventually overwhelm the whites? Well, I think that America can exist as a multi-ethnic society. I think that we can, you know, that through democratic pluralism, it's possible to have a society with multiple ethnic groups that have shared values and goals. Okay, well, what if there are ethnic groups that don't? Well, that doesn't mean you get to do a genocide. I'm sorry, like this is the trade-off. This is the trade-off we do under liberalism. If there are different ethnic groups that have different ideas on how a state should be run, you have to make an argument within the bounds of that system. You can't just genocide the people you disagree with. Like, that's one of the trade. And if you disagree with that, like, okay, then you're not a liberal. Like, let's argue from that position. You believe in like the moral right for one ethnic group to dominate a country, even if it means killing or deporting the other ethnic groups. Like, that is that is unambiguously what you're advocating for. Let's talk on those, like, in that framework then.
The debate here is the idea of a Jewish state that is a democracy.
But the Israelis would argue, and I know you have,
don't care.
I've heard this, that there are Arabs, 1 million Arabs at least, living with full rights and freedoms in the state of Israel. I recognize that doesn't represent the West Bank or Gaza, but within Israel. So they would argue that they're a pluralistic country.
They can't even marry the Jews. Israel doesn't even allow intermarriage between them. But also, like, the only reason, let's be clear here, the only reason the Arab minority in Israel is allowed to exist is because they're marginal enough that their votes can't overwhelm the plurality of votes coming from the Jewish population. Like, that's the only reason why. Like, we literally had this conversation with South Africa, with apartheid South Africa. White South Africans made the argument, if we give them full and franchise voting rights, that means that the 10% of white people in South Africa, our voting rights will no longer be the majority. Like, we're going to be dominated by the will and whims of those people. And then the answer to that is like, yeah, that's a democracy. Yes. Yes. That is how it's supposed to work. Yes, the majority of the population gets to make those decisions. Right now, there's a Jewish majority, and they are using that majority politically to slaughter and kill and maim and butcher and illegally expand and start wars. So I would say if we're arguing over which ethnic group has demonstrated the best, and most responsible use of its power over Israel, I would say right now, the Jewish majority in Israel is not doing a phenomenal job of demonstrating the Arabs to be less psychotic. If there was an Arab majority in Israel, and they were then okay, time for us to do it in reverse. Now we're gonna kill now we're gonna do to them what they did to us. I would oppose that as well, because I believe in democracy. Been pretty consistent about this.
And actually a democracy. So I guess the question is, if it were to be a one state with all of Palestine or all of the West Bank and Gaza, how does one guarantee the security?
Argument is that it would be too late, which is also what the Nazis say. The Nazis in America and historically, like in Germany in the 30s, said, we can't attempt a pluralistic, multi-ethnic society because if we did, if the other side ever took power, we would all die and lose instantly. So we have to kill them first. It's literally the same zero-sum game, might makes right. Everyone's fighting for power. There's no such thing as pluralism. There's no such thing as a multicultural society. That's the argument they're making, which is okay, if you believe that, you believe in racialized fascism, argue from that perspective. Don't pretend to be a liberal. That's why, I already believe basically everyone but me is a fascist. I'm not gonna, I already believe you, you're just affirming my priors here. Just argue from that perspective. Don't do this disingenuous, fake progressive, stop.
The Jews.
That's part of what those deliberations would have to be, right? And I think that is a role that the United States has to play in, these peace talks where we talk about, I think we talk about this like it's a zero-sum game. We can't guarantee the right to return for Palestinians and the right to some kind of reparations as a result of this genocide that they're facing right now, while also securing, basic needs and protection for Jewish people in what would be this new form of government.
Should the Arab nations that are neighbors also take a role?
I think anybody who's committed to democratic values.
Yeah, which unfortunately all of our petrostate allies in the Middle East are not democratic, which is kind of the problem a little bit. Clearly we're not that invested in democracy abroad. We keep enabling anti-democratic factions as long as they're amenable to our business interests. That's literally what we did with Saudi Aramco.
Has a role to play, but to be clear, this is the Israeli and Palestinians that need to be leading this. That is what self-determination is, right? For them to decide what kind of a government that they want to live in.
The reality, right, is that, as we both know, since October 7th, the overwhelming majority of Israelis, from the liberal side to the conservative side, are all deeply concerned about what would happen if there was a one-state solution.
Yeah, that's great. And who else was concerned? Nazis were concerned. What would happen if there was a non-Aryan majority in Germany? American neo-Nazis are deeply concerned if whites become a minority in America. We've heard this before. This is not a liberal argument. Framing it as concerns doesn't change the fact that these are just blood and soil arguments. They're exactly the same as blood and soil arguments. It's not, there's literally no difference.
Yeah. And so I guess reasonably, we can all have...
The concern is valid, but the concern doesn't justify allowing the status quo to continue. Right? There are people whose lives are being lost right now and children whose limbs are being blown off. We have a responsibility to defending our democratic values and holding our allies accountable in that way. It's never easy, but that doesn't mean that it's an excuse to not do what is in line with our democratic values, which is to secure equal rights and equal dignity to any human being that's living in what is supposedly a democratic state.
I think it's a really good answer, personally.
Have you ever been to Israel or anywhere in the region? Would it change your mind or open your perspectives if you did?
I'm sure it would.
What pisses me off about the argument that Israel has Arab citizens is that they don't talk about exchange discrimination. No. Yeah, the idea that Arabs in Israel are treated the same as Jews in Israel is fucking ridiculous. Like, you could just as fairly say, well, Native Americans, blacks, Chinese in like 1900s America are also like citizens. Like, there are some citizens that are black. Or like, hey, in South Africa, not every black person is like equally deprived or disenfranchised. It's ridiculous. Like, I genuinely, like, why even pretend to be a liberal? Like, just why? Why do we... It's like the liberalism ran out of answers, so it's just like, are you an open fascist or a covert fascist, you know? Oh, liberalism can't answer the challenges of the 21st century because it means challenging capital? Okay, like, let's switch to a new set of arguments. Do you want to be an open fascist, a la MAGA? Or do you want to be a covert fascist, a la the liberal Zionists, where you just reaffirm blood and soil arguments, have no liberal solution to any world problems. And these are all, by the way, the idea of like two ethnic groups share the same area, but they have different ideas. This is not a modern problem. This is every human problem for all of human history. Why is liberalism suddenly incapable of solving this? When liberalism was getting cooked up in the big brain enlightenment labs back in like the 1700s or whatever, why the fuck... It was happening back then too. It's not like the idea of two ethnic groups competing for the same land was like an unheard of dynamic back then. Why is liberalism not capable of solving this? What about democratic pluralism? Why do you so-called liberals have less faith in liberalism than I, not a liberal, do? I'm genuine. Like, what? I think that a liberal solution is possible here, that it's possible to enforce one. Through occupation, we made Germany and Japan nominally liberal societies. Japan literally went from an insane imperial military dictatorship into like a admittedly conservative one party, but still like a liberal state overnight. The idea that we can't do this anymore is ridiculous. Like, you have no faith in liberal solutions. So, like, why?
Right. Part of the work that we've been doing here as well is having conversations with, the Jewish community specifically.
Unfortunately, in the 20th century, we solved it with genocide, and liberals of the age tolerated/supported it. That's not necessarily true, and I genuinely think that's doomer logic right there. Throughout the 20th century and the 19th, there were all across the world, there was a wellspring of liberalism that spread across the world and moderated solutions in areas that did have like multi-ethnic basically every country on earth has multiple ethnicities that at some point or another have competed for power. In many, like in the West, for the most part, these old rivalries are gone. You don't have like Franks, Anglo-Saxons, Germanic, like for the most part, like these countries are now they're civilly nationalist. Like you don't have the Germany is no longer consumed by the ethnic differences that previously split it into like 50 million subcategories. I'm not saying there isn't still ethnic bias or whatever. There is, obviously, but like there are liberal solutions here. The whole point of liberalism is that they fought to make their perspective heard all around the world, that there are alternatives to just like zero-sum game slaughters to assume control of a territory. The world doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. Everybody can benefit. That's the argument liberals made, and I still believe in it, but they don't. They're like, well, if we don't kill the Palestinians, they'll kill us. Dog, this is just every argument before liberalism. Do you still support American intervention? Oh, I've always supported like a UN or NATO occupation of Israel. Israel's a mad dog state, totally rogue, nuclear power. They're threatening to end the world. 100%. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, we should treat them the way we treated Germany and Japan. We should occupy them and manage them until they are capable of existing as a state. And we can build a democratic pluralism there. We could theoretically, we could go there and be like, okay, we're just gonna like arrest a bunch of Israeli politicians, probably Hamas too, a lot of bad guys over there, and we're gonna be like, all right, the new rule is no matter how much you hate each other, you get along. Every school is opened. Everyone's a free citizen. Everyone gets treated the same. If you disagree, that's really rough. It's not your government anymore. You've proven yourself an irresponsible steward of this government. We run it now. And we force them to play nice. 10 years, 20, 30. Trust me, however much it costs to occupy, I almost said Italy, Israel for that length of time, it would be less than what we're currently costing the world with the war with Iran. Like, the cost of fixing Israel is significantly less, probably orders of magnitude less than the perma war that we're going to be in the Middle East and all of its like long-standing damage, you know, to the oil markets and to trade and so on and so forth. It's literally cheaper. I'm just advocating for a cost-saving solution.
The Zionist Jewish community to, you know, better understand different perspectives, different positions, different experiences. You know, again, my values have always been rooted in protecting dignity and safety for everyone.
So one-time interventionism good? I have never, ever been an isolationist. America is the center of the world, or at least has been, politically, militarily, culturally, and economically. We have a responsibility. If you don't assume some degree of moral authority, that power vacuum opens up, and it's going to be China or India or the EU or Russia making those claims. All I've ever argued for is that interventionism is good when it's good, and overwhelmingly we do it badly. But like, yeah, no, I agree with what we did with Japan. I agree with what we did with Germany. Yeah, for sure.
Every single person, especially as it relates to these inalienable things about our religion or ethnicity or our culture. And my greatest concern right now is that the state of Israel is losing support all across the political spectrum here.
So this is what got clip shimped. So in this whole clip where she is just unambiguously arguing against Israel's genocide and apartheid and saying we need a one-party state, or sorry, not a one-party, a one-state solution, which would mean like, you know, an enormous amount of restraint on the part, to put it lightly, restraint on the part of the Israelis. She's being clip-chimped here and accused by disingenuous bad faith leftists as being a like a Zionist shill now.
In the U.S. And I believe that
Why does that concern you?
I think we're leaving a vacuum on the left and the progressive wing to speak to this criticism in a way that is in line with our values, to where people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, who are raging anti-Semites and white supremacists and Christian nationalists, are pretending to care about.
She's 100% correct. Yeah. By Democrats not acknowledging the elephant in the room, like obviously Israel's an evil fucking country. The people go to Tucker Carlson to hear. We've been saying this for years now. If by Democrats plugging their ears and going la 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 la, I can't hear you, like you open a vacuum for anti-Semite influencers, which is exactly what has been happening. We called that the moment this happened. We've been completely correct on it. We've been totally vindicated. Anti-Semitism is absolutely on the rise. And it is in large part because there is no offered liberal solution to the raging genocidal rogue state that's tearing through the Middle East.
Palestinian safety, when really it's just masking their overt hatred for Jewish people.
You're singing my song.
And if we are not presenting our vision of what we believe in with our democratic values, that extends not just to the Palestinian people, but to the Israeli people and to the Jewish people, you know, that land has a distinctly Jewish character, a distinctly Christian character, a distinctly Muslim character.
Yeah.
It's a land that has seen bloodshed for centuries. And we, I think, are doing a disservice to the people of that region by not offering our progressive vision in a way that isn't immediately swatted down as, you know, bigoted or anti-Semitic. And that's going to require a lot of conversations, a lot of...
So, okay, I'm going to cut it here because we've heard the part that got clip-chimped. I know there was a lot of lead up to it, but I think we can all agree she's done a great job in this interview, right? Like, it's very obvious what her position is, having watched this. But still, she's being attacked as being like a Zionist shill here, you know? She responded to this, and she said, I fumbled this line plain and simple, but she used the wrong plane here. So much for being a lawyer, am I right? To be clear, my foreign policy priority is ending Israel's occupation, apartheid, and genocide in Palestine. I also reject the notion that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, and it's important we distinguish between the two in order to combat actual anti-Semitism. I'm opposed to any form of ethno-supremacy. I was being asked about rising anti-Semitism in this interview, and I was trying to say my concern That my concern is while voters across the political spectrum wake up to Israel's atrocities and our government's complicity in it, the Democratic Party is failing to beat the moment. Really obvious stuff, really straightforward. She's obviously in the right here. But people in the replies are still like, I'm glad you're addressing this, but to be clear, you didn't fumble one line. The entire framing of your answer here is Zionist framing. Like, like genuinely, she's being torn up for nothing here. Though the person who made the original post conceded the answer here. Blue check, she's Mossad. Patriot in bio. Lefty Christian. I don't know. Tucker Carlson has already responded to your baseless smear. Yeah, it seems like it's a criticism that's being issued by the left, but elevated by anti-Semites who don't like the fact that she's offering an alternative to Tucker Carlson as like, you know, political pushback to Israel. Anyway, the point of this all is that I'm with Milat Kiros on this. I think she's great, and I think people are being psychotic. What an insanely dishonest clip chimp. Great. Okay. What the fuck are you all talking about? I don't know. Ken Martin. You guys see this? Ken Martin, the guy who's responsible for the DNC being deeply in debt and being powerless and having no money and sucking, is currently avoiding social media appearances and refusing to make any changes to the organization. A half-dozen state leaders and other committee members, most of whom spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss internal convos, described Martin as defensive and extremely distrustful of others. Remember, this is a guy who in a staff meeting said, if I go down, you're all going down with me. This guy believes in nothing except for his own personal patronage. This fucking bitch baby, spineless crybaby. Incredibly selfish. You know, the Democratic Party has way too many people in it who are just like utterly uninterested in anything other than career politics. Just like I do not care about any outcome outside of like making sure I have a comfy job for the rest of my life. No sign the org's membership plans to replace Martin before the midterm elections in November. That might be a bit hasty, admittedly. You don't want to do the shakeup like that right before the midterms. But he has to go. If he's still around in 2028, he'll actually, I genuinely think he's, who's the last one? Jamie Harrison? I genuinely think he'd be worse than Jamie Harrison. At least, as bad as Jamie Harrison was, at least Jamie Harrison was able to support like a gun up for like a somewhat half-decent shot at Kamala Harris's campaign, genocide apologia besides. But like Ken Martin has done nothing but fail over and over and over again. And Jamie Harrison is an unbelievably low bar, like a insanely fucking low bar. Jamie Harrison was good at raising money. That's it. Yeah. And like a freak Zionist centrist piece of shit. Like Jamie Harrison is really, really, really bad, but at least he was better at raising money. Martin did not grant an interview request. In a recent Substack post, Martin defended himself this way. Substack posting from the fucking chair of the DNC. Martin's critics are everywhere all at once. I saw that movie. No, I didn't. I should, though. And some won him out. As one of its most important responsibilities, the DNC is tasked with building out the party's national infrastructure, including fundraising to support the Democrats' next presidential nominee. Yet few members of the next class of White House prospects are willing to speak out on Martin's behalf. You should. It's a great movie. Yeah, I know. Just really, really, really nasty stuff here. He has to go.
Saying there have been a bunch of bad ones in both parties as the national parties have lost relevance. But Ken Martin really does stand out. I can't say that I think from the day that he won the job until today, he's had a good news cycle. There's just been a series of snafus that sort of just spell not up to the job, Jen. I would say whether it's the autopsy, obviously one thing, badly managed, terribly executed, disappointing.
So DSA is going to pull off the Dem Tea Party moment. Well, the DSA is obviously where the momentum is. The centrist establishment within the Democratic Party, certainly the DNC itself, has no momentum and is basically just trying to hold on to legacy voters. They are not making any inroads with new voters, none whatsoever. If there are any new voters that are shifting over, it is not because of the DNC. If it's either the DSA or because they're that upset with Trump. Like, the DNC is not doing any work here. It's one of the reasons why I said, like, if you're upset with the influence the DSA and Hassan Piker are having over the Democratic Party, like, make the case to the voters. They want to get mad at the DSA. They want to get mad at Hassan. Like, the only reason it's an electoral organization. It's a party. Everyone's power is proportional to their ability to influence the voters, to make a good case to the voters. And like, the DNC is doing a fucking spectacularly bad job with it. You want better champions. But unfortunately, these people want the style without the substance, you know? After Mamdani won, every centrist was like, could we perhaps have a centrist Mamdani? No. No, you can't actually fake that. I'm sorry. Like, why is it all of our moderate, hyper-corporate Zionist candidates keep ending up being uninspiring? How could... What could be... It must be a coincidence that every single one of them ends up disappointing voters. It can't be the things they believe in. Maybe we need a new slogan. Stick it to them. We need more zingers. We need more guys who are standing on business while Trump's up to some monkey business, you know?
All factions in that, no matter where you are in the argument about why Democrats lost in 2024. I think there is a question of whether Democrats, and I think the answer to this is going to be, if Democrats win that control of the House and Senate, Ken Martin, despite all of this, will probably be safe in that job. If Democrats somehow fail to lose, certainly if they don't take at least one of the houses, but if they lost both those houses, Ken Martin will be out very quickly. Maybe if they, depending on how they...
Buddy, if the Democrats lose the House and the Senate in the midterms, Ken Martin won't be seen again. They're not going to oust Ken Martin. Ken Martin is going to be thrown into the bottomless pit that was dug in the backyard of the DNC headquarters back in like fucking... They're gonna he's never gonna be seen again.
They perform in the House, might be able to cling. But what do you think about the future of him? It doesn't really matter who the chairman of the Democratic Party is at this stage, because so many of these fundamentals about the economy, about Donald Trump, et cetera, are so much more important to determining how these elections are going to go.
Yeah, and that the individual candidates matter more, and the fact that, you know, it's just, we know before, like John Ossoff is raising as much money as he is, and all these Senate candidates and House candidates are raising a lot of money. And the thing that, I mean, there is a defense to be made. The reason why they are in debt, I guess, I mean, from the Times, is because they're spending a lot of money on infrastructure and state parties. And that was the theory of Ken Martin's chairmanship, and he is, you know, if you want to have like a defense of him, and that's what he's implementing. There are some people that think that that is working. But in terms of him, I think what people might not understand about how this committee operates is it's a committee of 500.
Doesn't the DCCC and DSCCC fund congressional campaigns? I thought the DNC was only for the presidential. No, they direct money where they're needed, but though it's more of like a direct focus thing. But the DNC needs a lot of money so that they can coordinate efforts and fundraise for like broader Democratic Party initiatives. The fact that the party itself is out of money is really, really bad. Like the RNC has like, I think 130 million in cash right now. The DNC is still paying off debt from the Kamala Harris campaign.
135 people, made up of DNC members. Those people elected Ken Martin, and those people are Ken Martin's boss. And unless, you know, Leader Jeffries and Leader Schumer want to come in and like try to force him out and rally the members to do that, that's not going to change. And once you stopped raising money, that just collapses on top of itself.
You know, Adrian, I mean, the Republicans have raised more money than ever before. They've got all the advantages financially. I mean, they are awash in cash because of Donald Trump, the money at the RNC, the way the court now says the RNC can use the money. So that's number one. So this does matter. It matters greatly if you're like us. us and believe that the strength of American democracy depends in large part on how this election goes and whether what Donald Trump has done over the past 2 years is confirmed by voters.
I'm kind of okay with this in some ways. Oh no, billionaires aren't dominating the party through donations. Unfortunately, you're the opposite of correct here. The money raised by the parties directly overwhelmingly comes from small ticket donations because there are limits to how much you can contribute directly to a candidate or to a party. The real billionaire money comes in through super PACs, which are still getting money. So what this means essentially is that the DNC is getting absolutely no like mid-range support, you know? Like the people aren't doing anything to back the DNC. The DNC really, actually, wait, I think there's a higher campaign contribution limit to the DNC directly, but the billionaires still tend to leverage their money through super PACs so they can control the conditions by which that money's dispersed. Anyway, yeah, just really, really, the donors are more fragmented than I thought. Well, it's that why would anyone give their money to the DNC right now? It's just a waste. Like, you're just wasting money. But why would you, like, it's not even like a long shot thing or whatever. It's just like, give money to the DNC if you want them to give it to some consultants or like TV ad people or whatever. 44K is the max per year of the DNC. Yeah, there you go. 44K. So it's mostly like, it's like a lot of people have to donate to keep finances afloat for the DNC and for the RNC or whatever. It's not like a super PAC. Just important to note, Dem candidates are raising record-breaking amounts. Yes, they are raising huge amounts, but that's kind of the problem, right? It's like the superstructure thing, you know? Individual candidates can be popular, but the unpopularity of the Democratic Party is really hurting us. It's really, really, really hurting us. The fact that the Democratic Party is like minus 30 or something nationally is really, really bad. It depresses support for every candidate. It means that in order for these candidates, for candidates like John Ossoff or whatever to do really well, they have to, each one of them individually has to run a really good campaign. Like, what's supposed to happen is that you have good candidates being backed by a strong party. So you have the double benefit of a strong popular candidate, but also people are just generally turning out to vote blue for whoever shows up on their ballot. But right now, that's not happening. It's individual, like if you want to win, you as an individual Democrat have to run a great campaign or rely on the depressed votes or the depressed turnout from Republicans. But there's no strong Democratic Party mobilizing people to just go out and vote blue down ticket.
Rejected by voters. That's number one. Number two, the Democrats are in debt. They are in debt coming into August of an election year. I would say the most important midterm election in our lifetime. They are in debt. And number three...
The RNC has a lot of funding, but they're not popular. The RNC is more favored than the Democratic Party because the RNC is at least popular with Republicans. The Democratic Party is not popular with Democrats. Democrats have completely lost faith in their party for good reasons.
What a Democratic thing to do, to say, well, if we lose, if we hand full ultimate power, autocratic power over to Donald Trump over the next 2 years, instead of taking control of the House of the Senate, which we should do if you look at every single poll that's out there, well then...
Is it popular for them to go bankrupt? The DNC? Yeah, they literally like just... leverage. They just took out a $15 million loan on their headquarters to avoid bankruptcy.
We'll change this bureaucrat that nobody's heard of or nobody knows. Republicans, let me tell you, Ken Martin right now would be flipping patties on the back grill at the Capitol Hill Club. There's no way Republicans would keep a guy like this who had his party in debt still running that party. It's not a close call. Democrats...
In fairness, if the Democrats actually did expel failures and losers from the party, your ass would have been out decades ago. You fucking Republican turncoat who wishes for a return to the neocon Republican Party. Like, so don't throw stones too hard from the comfort of your glass house, Joe Scarsborough. We all know where you'd be if the Democratic Party actually listened to the wishes of their constituency. Fucking disgusting. I guess while we're on the topic of the utter failure from the National Democratic Party to meet the moment, though in this case it would be the DSCC, Chuck Schumer's been engaged in a prolonged effort to stop Abdul al-Sayed from winning the Democratic nomination in Michigan. We know there's exactly one outcome Chuck Schumer cares about, and it's the bloodshed of Palestinian people. It's too late. Abdul al-Sayed is going to win. Haley Stevens was an unfathomably bad candidate. Her favorability ratings among Democrats are incredibly it's incredibly bad. Abdul al-Sayed is going to win. If he loses, I am blaming centrist Democrats for tanking him. And you know why I'm doing that? Because if this was flipped and the progressive candidate was erroneously accusing the centrist candidate of being a fucking sexist and anti-Semite with no evidence, like if Bernie Sanders was out there on the debate stage just straight up saying like, you know, telling Hillary Clinton, I know you want to blame all your problems on Jewish Americans or some insane shit like that, I would absolutely 100% hear non-stop centrists blaming Bernie for Hillary losing in 2016. There is a limit to how nasty you should be able to be in a primary, because otherwise you just depress turnout for the general, which is exactly what's happening here. There is a real chance Abdul al-Sayed loses, and if it does, I know who I'm blaming. Or if he does, I know who I'm blaming. People blame Bernie for Hillary's loss anyway. Erroneously, yes, because he conceded and campaigned for her. But if he had done all that stuff, I think he would have actually legitimately enjoyed some of that blame. There is a limit to how nasty you can be in primaries. There is a reason for that. Carville crashing out on Fox. Yeah, I saw this. I saw this. Again, like if the Democratic Party rewarded success and punished failure, we wouldn't have to hear from these people ever again. I'm not going to be in the same party with Hassan Piker. If he becomes a force in the Democratic Party, I'm out of here. Don't let the door disintegrate your ancient ass on the way out. Worthless, worthless. Can the Democratic Party please stop rewarding failure? It's these people, man. Imagine being fucking Carville and feeling like you have the right to criticize anybody for their influence over the party. Hey, this one's kind of a breaking news bit. I know this is going to make some people angry because it's one of those personal topics that gets me angry emails. But apparently Ariana Grande is taking a step back from visibility after tour as, and this is the terminology People magazine is using, public scrutiny intensifies. Little crazy. She's not looking so good? Yeah, not really, no. But I don't know, man. To me, it's not like over what her weight. Oh, she's like very visibly emaciated. I'm not even like blaming her because she's clearly like the victim of a disease, which sucks, you know. It's more like, is there really no one around her? Like, I feel like everyone around her is enabling her. Like, cause you're not a single person if you're a celebrity, right? You're like a bunch of, you know, people, production managers, agents, you know, talent, work, you know, people with you. And like, it's their job to help you, right? Like being a celebrity is very, very, very taxing, very difficult, emotionally, psychologically. So you need people in your camp who are like really looking out for your best interest and aren't just exploiting you for every single bit of money that they can get. And it really kind of feels like she's being surrounded by enablers, you know? It's like the most cynical take, and I think there's like a very real possibility this is the correct one, is that the people around her are aware of the fact that the scrutiny around her health is driving social media attention, which means it's actually better to keep parading her around while she weighs like 80 pounds or whatever, which is like, it's definitely possible for sure. Here's a picture of her taking a selfie with a kid, not a selfie, but like you can, in a more like normalized context, here's her next to like, I don't know, a kid. I don't know how, some kid or whatever. But you can, yeah, it's pretty like immediately evident, right? It's not like subtle or whatever. Really, really nasty stuff. I feel like eating disorders are on the rise in general. It could be like a wasting disease of some kind, but it's probably like anorexia or something. But like, yeah, the fact that there's nobody on her team that's doing anything to like protect her or whatever. Ozempic is making eating disorders worse too. Yeah, but like at this point, if it's just Ozempic or whatever, the people around her should be like, I'm going to physically remove all the Ozempic from your house or whatever. You know, you need to have a burger. It's defo anorexia. Her partner had the same thing going on. They're not actually together, right? The lady from Wicked. They're not actually partner. I genuinely don't know. They're always like looking at each other wistfully. No? Okay, yeah, I don't know. I'm not. She's been tiny forever. Yeah, Ariana Grande is like a small girl, but she's did not always look like this, you know. Ariana will be taking a step back from visibility after she completes the Eternal Sunshine tour. She looks forward to finishing the tour and ending it on a high note, both healthily and happily, and then taking a much-deserved break from public-facing work and appearances, which has led to endless ongoing public scrutiny. They're not even acknowledging it in the rep. In the post here. A source close to Grande tells people of the singer she performs a very physical show and there's a lot of athleticism involved. She performs healthily and successfully at a very high level night after night. It does kind of feel like these people are in on it. Like these public statements aren't even acknowledging, like you're just in denial. Like we all know, like everyone sees that she's unhealthy. We're not like, come on, we're not gonna. Listen, I don't feed this bullshit either way. Okay, I think you can be healthy if you're fat, but if you weigh 500 pounds, you're probably not healthy. Just too much weight on your heart and joints. I'm not gonna say, oh well, here's one guy who's 500 pounds but healthy. I don't care. Like, just don't piss down my back and call it rain. Likewise, if you clearly weigh 80 pounds, like we don't need to like be weird about this. Grande will no longer be appearing at the West End revival of Stephen Sondheim's Sunday in the Park with George, people confirms. Who's Jonathan Bailey? Is Jonathan Bailey the black lady who's also like, no, this is a guy. I guess Jonathan's a guy's name now that I think about it, but I don't know. You can name your kid whenever. You could name a black woman Jonathan if you wanted to. Just shows how not racist I am. I don't see color. I don't even hear color. You tell me a guy like named Jamal and a woman named like Shaniqua, and I'd be like, Asian? Thank you, much appreciated. Yeah, my pleasure. Happy to be the least racially biased human alive. I accept accolades in the form of donations, likes, subscribes, etc. Please, thank you. It's going to lead to a lot of discourse. It just seems to me like a very clear example of like artist exploitation. These people have such difficult lives. I understand. Like, I'm not going to come out here and be like, we should all like care super hard about celebrities and the difficulties they go through. You don't have to get too into it or whatever. But like, it is bad out there. And man, every time my Twitter feed, for some reason, like thinks I want to see eating disorder Twitter's bullshit, I'm like, holy fuck, there are way too many likes on these posts. You know what I mean? It's just like like a flashbang going off next to me. Here's a 22,000 like post where they're doing like thinspo or whatever. Like my goal weight is 62 pounds or something. And it's like, and they're always kids. It's like 17-year-old girls or whatever. And it's like, this should be deleted off the platform. Like, this should be against TOS. It was against TOS on many social media sites for a while because it encourages self-harm. I thought that was like normal TOS stuff. I don't, yeah, I don't know, but it's like really popular actually. TikTok brought back heroin chic. I don't know if it was TikTok necessarily, but it does kind of feel like we've it's weird because like I feel like heroin chic has gotten more popular, but at the same time everyone everywhere loves thick girls. So it's like what's going on? It feels like the K-shaped economy a little bit, where like 90% of the cultural capital is on like, damn, we love fat asses, but then 10% has gone in the other direction. And they're like, no, 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 you should actually weigh 70 pounds. If you don't look like a skeleton, you're fat. You know what I mean? Asian media influence? That might be overstating it a little bit, but my understanding is that Korea has a really, really bad eating disorder problem. Like Korea, like a kind of, I don't know if it's a K-pop derivative. I'm not an expert on it, but my understanding is that it's like a real big problem over there. Frequency of eating disorders in Korea. It's a multifaceted issue. It's not being caused by one thing. Let me see. Broader studies show disturbed eating behaviors affect roughly 12.7% of Korean adolescents. Yeesh! Studies note up to 50% of young Koreans and school-age children show signs of body image distortion. It depends on the metrics. It depends on the metrics. It depends on how you view stuff. I don't know. I think it's worse in Japan. Yeah, I think that makes sense. One of my coworkers keeps waist training and barely eating because she wants to be skinny. You know, is everyone familiar with body fascism as a concept? The idea of body fascism being that you ascribe moral value to a particular range of physical expression. So like, look, I don't have anything against people trying to stay fit and healthy. I think it's good. Morally, even, I would say it's good to try to stay healthy. But there's a difference between morally, I think it's good for people to try to stay healthy because it leads to good outcomes. It's like a consequentialist thing, right? Versus body fascism, which is like, it is morally good to look like this. Like, the difference would be my statement, which is like, regardless of what you look like, everyone should try to, you know, be healthy, right? Like everyone should try, go out on your walks, do your runs, do some weight training. It's good for you. You know, if you don't do it, I'm not going to say you're like morally bad or whatever. But body fascism would argue like, no. Unattractiveness and a lack of fitness are signs of moral impurity in your body. You are morally bad. It's one of the reasons why fascists get really up in arms when like women they don't see as attractive are public figures. They do this with fat women or with women who are just, I mean, generally like not white, basically. They do it with like a lot of women because they're like, it is morally wrong to exist in public like this, you know, body fascism. Body fascism is almost never directed towards healthy or obtainable objectives either. Oh, no. Body fascism is totally aesthetic. It has nothing to do with being healthy. It's about, like, for men, a certain physical expression or expression of strength. So, like, they don't care if you're juiced up to the yard, like, fuck ton of steroids or whatever, super unhealthy. It doesn't matter how fast your mile is. It's literally like raw strength and appearance. And for women, it's just appearance. For women, body fascism doesn't project any expectations of health out of maybe outside of being able to rear children. Whereas like it's all like aesthetic otherwise. Body and especially pubic hair is a huge aspect as well. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like a good example is, Like girls who have like a little bit of pubes can wear normal bikinis, but if the girl has like big bushy pubes, the pubes come out around the side. And rather than people going like, "Oh, that's a hairy chick," because it is, they're like, "Oh, that's morally bad if they go out in a bikini," which is like, I thought the I thought the I thought the problem was like the pussy being out. Now it's like the hairs around the bush is now the moral. As it's kind of gross. It's really not. You have to grow up. It's literally just a bush. People are literally just hairy sometimes. I'm hairy. If I went out in a swimsuit, you'd see all my you'd see my like happy trail and leg hair and all the rest of my hair and everything. No one's like, that's gross. Yeah, and they should shave. I think that we're currently talking about, like, broadly speaking, body dysmorphia, and I think that people who think that body hair is gross, you kind of fit in that category as well. You have sexual and aesthetic tastes that are heavily influenced by modernity, media, and overly draconian social standards. The idea that, like, for you, literally billions of people around the world are just gross naked because they tend to be hairier is, like, unironic. I'm going to hit you with it. A little problematic. You go down to, like, the Levant, the Mediterranean or whatever, and it's like, oh, well, people are just hairier here. Like, everyone's gross. You go see, like, Iranian woman or whatever, and you're like, oh no, well, that's gross, that's unhygienic. I'm just saying it's a little bit problematic. To be fair, Europeans smell like shit. Yeah, but that's because they don't fucking bathe. That's because they get sweaty from a full day of walking around in XXS baby tees, Adidas, and like fucking slim chinos or whatever. That's because they wear too much polyester. That's not because of the body hair. Isn't it a genetic thing too? Your propensity for being hairy? Yeah, it's like 100% a genetic thing. Yeah, it's pretty much entirely genetic. Do you think shaving for aesthetic is inherently patriarchal? I'm not touching on this right now. Like, I really don't care if you shave or not, but if you see a person, especially, let's be real here, a woman in public who's hairy and you're thinking that's gross, that's a you problem. That's you. That objectively, that's just straight up objectively a you problem. Like I'm saying, the idea that like one person exists just standing around in like a set of clothing or whatever, and then a different person in the exact same clothing, but because they're hairier or whatever, you're like, well, that's gross. It's just on you. It's fine to have aesthetic preferences, but gross is a very morally loaded word, which you guys used, by the way. Some of you in chat. I didn't start that. You said gross. If you said, I'm not into a bunch of body hair, that's fine. I'm not going to come after you for that or whatever. We all have preferences. A little bit of little body fascist in my humble opinion. How novel, nuts. No, anyway. Is there any more on this? Hold on. I'm sure there's going to be some fallout. Anyway, the main thing I guess I'm saying is that I hope Ariana, I don't even like care about Ariana Grande. I guess I just care about like the like standards in general. She's sick and I hope people around her help her. That's all. Okay, aren't there more important things to talk about? Nah, everything's interconnected. Everything's interconnected. You hearing about like the 780th way in which the Trump administration is fleecing the American people isn't necessarily any more important than this topic that'll touch hundreds of millions of people. Very popular artist. Everything's interconnected. I liked her new album. I haven't heard it. I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know a damn thing. Something, Ariana Grande, anorexia, something. Very good. Bush was a good man, not a good president. What the fuck is this? Kirsten Gillibrand, who called Mamdani a jihadist, reportedly told Big Dollar Donos that Mallory McMorrow was a DSA member, according to CNN. Man, what is it with Zionists and lying? Hey, are there any liberals in the party who have a problem with this? Are there any liberals in the party who have like an issue with the fact that Zionists just nonstop lie and mischaracterize? They thought Mallory McMorrow was DSA. Like, this is not even this is not like a contestable opinion. Like, are we like for real? They can just say anything. I feel like this is something that should invite some concern. Kirsten Gillibrand and Chuck Schumer are not randos on Twitter. They're they're in leadership positions within the party. And they just like openly, like just insane degrees of open, provable dishonesty whenever it comes to, funnily enough, defending the interests of Israel. It seems to be a particular kind of dishonest psychopathy that manifests most prominently when Israel's interests are threatened. Fucking traitors. Seriously, look at this. Made their unofficial backing of Stevens clear, inviting her to... Who cares what the people of Michigan want, you know? Inviting her to donor events, directing others support her way. Gillibrand even went as far as to suggest that several donors, ominously, that McMorrow had been a member of the DSA, even though McMorrow isn't. Just, really, really psychotic. Christ. Gillibrand sucks so bad. Yeah, I know, but again, I guess I am sometimes bewildered by the fact that I really genuinely feel like there are no liberals. Like, people might passively support some liberal social values, but the broader political project of liberalism genuinely seems completely dead. It's like a skeleton, a puppet being puppeted by capital. Like, that's it. Like, it's just a big blob of moneyed interests that have worn the skin of liberalism for a time and are now more openly adopting the mantle of fascism. Isn't that typically how fascism comes back around the decay of liberalism? Well, the problem is that, like, during the original heyday of fascism, the 1930s, liberalism as a project hadn't died out yet. You know? It was waning. The Weimar Republic was infamously weak and corrupt and ineffective, but there were ideological liberals back then. Now it feels like there are none. In the 1930s, it felt like liberalism was on the back foot. After the First World War and the Great Depression, liberalism had taken a huge blow ideologically. People were starting to think, maybe pluralism and democracy leads to bad outcomes. Maybe we actually need to get more close-knit, more nationalist, you know? This was the ideological and the rhetorical well from which fascism emerged, right? It was like the petri dish from which the arguments emerged. Fascism wasn't really like pitched in a lab the way that liberalism was. It wasn't the product of, you know, philosophers and enlightened thinkers pitching their case and having their ideas adopted in the halls of power. It was more of a popular public sentiment that bourgeois elites deferred to because they thought it would allow them to protect their capital interests. Yeah, it's more of a syndrome, a disease that affects sick societies. And liberalism was weak back then. I mean, after the Great Depression, who wouldn't question liberalism? Who wouldn't question democracy and capitalism as like governing systems and ways of allocating resources? After the Great Depression, people were like boiling their shoes to sap nutrients from the leather. I mean, it was awful. And then fascism turned out to be even worse. And liberalism had a resurgence in large part because of the United States, because of FDR, because we were able to rebound with the New Deal, and we became like the global superpower because of our positioning in World War II. We were able to contrast ourselves against both fascism and like the Soviet state capitalist style. Anyway, the point that I'm getting at is that nowadays, compared to today, it feels like there are no ideological liberals left. It's not that liberals are on the back foot against nationalism. It's that liberals ran out of ideas and then just withered away and were replaced with a new class of totally disingenuous neoliberals who have no interest in liberalism as a guiding ideology and are instead using its image as a defense of their ulterior motive, which is to give the world the capital. You know what I mean? Liberal is the default. They don't think it has an ideology. Yeah. A lot of this is also the consequence of conservatives during the Cold War treating everyone left of center as a communist. Like, communism was the stigma that was used to brand people who were essentially just aligned with the New Deal Democrats. Which meant that like the range, the Overton window, the range of acceptable political expression was shifted rightward over time to the point where even like banal social democracy became, a symbol of communist rot. Liberalism's dead, dude. Ben, it's a little bit more tactful to come in here and ask me to make mention of your phone banking than it is to try to pull people directly from chat like some kind of low-rent 5-viewer Andy looking to pawn viewers off of my community. You can just come in here and say, hey, Vosh, to let you know we're doing X. You don't have to come in here and start pitching it directly to chat. Speaking of liberalism being dead, it looks like manners are dead too, honestly. So chivalry? Nah, not while I'm around. It's so weird because everyone claims to be a liberal in spite of liberalism being dead. I think that like the problem is much the same as with rationality. People forget that liberalism is an ideological framework that's meant to challenge the status quo, not just the water we all swim in and the air we breathe. Like, liberals were the outside force for hundreds of years, challenging monarchies, aristocracies, mercantile economic systems. Liberals were on the outside. They grew quickly in influence because their ideas were very popular with, upper middle class, capitalists and academics. But they were, to put it in a phrase, liberals were for a long time punk rock. But now no one treats liberalism like a process. If they did, if people treated liberalism as an ideological framework by which you challenge the status quo, these people, Schumer and Gillibrand, would be fucking sent to the moon. They would be ostracized from the Democratic Party. They would be out of there. If we still treated liberalism like a process by which you challenge, you examine the system and you examine it in a novel framework and you challenge it, then these people, they wouldn't only not be leadership, they would be like pariahs. There would be no ground for them in the Democratic Party. Instead, they just keep failing upward. Okay, that's fair, TY Vosh. Hey, out of curiosity, can you show the Abdul phone bank? Abdul Al-Sayed is going to need all... No, not that. Not that. I guess we don't have the Abdul Al-Sayed bit up here anymore. Abdul Al-Sayed is going to need all the help in the world, so I strongly encourage you guys to go ahead and phone bank with PV. Stream's not going to last crazy, much longer, so if you want to go over there afterwards, too. Oh, you know who else wants you to phone bank for Abdul Al-Sayed? Come here. Are you purring? Oh, see the paw? See the claw? You want to rumble in the mic? Mwah. Good girl. Thank you. Holding it gently like a baby. She is a baby. Isn't the rise of Schumer types a consequence of material conditions? Buddy, grab-o crab. Everything is the result of material conditions. The world is material. RFK Jr. tells people to vaccinate children against measles amid outbreak. Really? Huh. I guess even the most stubborn reeds have to bend to the wind eventually. Wokeness got to him. The surge of infections and measles has reached numbers not seen in the past 35 years. Made his call in the course of a contentious interview with CNN State of the Union. I think I have some clips of that up here, actually. Let me see if I can't.
The measles cases in the U.S. just reached a 35-year high. The second record-breaking year in a row, 93% of these cases are among the unvaccinated. The outbreak has happened on your watch. And even before becoming HHS secretary, for years, you have been one of the leading voices questioning the efficacy of vaccines. Do you accept some responsibility for this measles outbreak?
Absolutely not. First of all, this is an international outbreak. And we're doing better at handling it than any country in the world.
Oh, I'm sure.
Mexico has 15 times the amount of measles per capita that we have.
I think we might be a slightly wealthier country than Mexico. We might maybe have like the ability to provide vaccines to all of our people, whereas Mexico still has some impoverished territories, but okay.
Canada has 4 times the amount of measles. England has 2 times the amount of measles. Did I cause those measles outbreaks?
You're the most
Did I cause 137,000 cases?
You're the most famous vaccine skeptic on the planet.
Let me tell you, because actually Anthony Fauci in his diaries answers the question about why we're having a measles outbreak right now. The reason we're having a measles outbreak because of the COVID lockdowns, because people didn't, like children.
Because of 6 years ago. Dude, we're going to be hearing this shit for like the rest of our lives, man. All these people who have tricked themselves into being mad over a couple months of lockdowns. I legitimately don't care. They're gonna they're doing this with the Fauci trials right now too. They're like, they all have to pretend to be super mad about it. I don't fucking believe you. I don't believe any of you. You're faking it so hard.
During that period, did not get vaccinated. And in his diaries, he says this is going to cause massive outbreaks of measles and more children. He says this are going to die. Let me finish, because you could accuse me of something. Now let me.
No, I didn't.
God damn it! Now I have to unmod nuts to mute
let me give you
him
the
for
answer.
an hour.
He says in his diaries, more children are going to die from measles because of these lockdowns than COVID. So if you want to know, and that age group that should have gotten the MMR when they were 18 months and didn't get it, they're the ones being infected. The people in this country, and we have stopped the outbreaks at record speed in South Carolina, in Texas, in Utah, in Virginia. We've done better than any country in the world. I dispatch immediately the epidemic intelligence services to those states. I get on the phone with the governor and we stop them in their tracks. Nobody else has been able to do that.
You have a bully pulpit.
Let me tell you just
It's crazy how defensive he is. I mean, this is basically just a scaled up version of that shit he did before where he promoted vaccine denialism. Which country was it that led directly to the deaths of multiple children?
One last thing.
Go ahead.
The communities that are suffering from measles are
American
almost
Samoa.
all religious communities that just don't vaccinate. The Mennonites have not vaccinated since 1796, since Edward Jenner invented the smallpox vaccine. It's hard to blame that. I mean, as much as you want to blame
No,
it
I don't
on
want to
me.
blame you.
He's so defensive, and he's talking to Dana Bash too, one of the most like shameless servants of Capital on CNN too.
I'm asking you because you have a very powerful voice on these issues for people who are skeptical. Let me finish.
And I've never questioned the efficacy of the MMR vaccine.
Okay, what are you? Okay, no, sure.
Beneficial.
So how do you prepare then? How do you prepare for the next pandemic? I mean, that's literally part of your job now because experts think it's going to happen within the next 10 years again.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did virtually everything wrong the last time.
So what about now?
The principal thing that we need to do is we need to listen to what's happening to doctors on the ground. There are 15 million frontline physicians around the world. They're mainly now connected through the internet. We can tell on the front lines what's working and what's not. If we had listened to those doctors during the COVID pandemic, we would have saved potentially millions of lives. There were therapeutics out there that were working. There were doctors that were having no deaths from COVID and treating, in some cases,
I don't think this guy has an idea of what we're going to do during the next pandemic.
thousands of patients. And we weren't listening to them. Instead, we were doing the opposite. We were shutting them down. And then, Dana, the other thing that I would say is that we need to protect our constitutional rights. That is the primary obligation
What does
of our
that mean?
country. Well,
It means no lockdowns. That's what he's like this long rambling answer, but the gist of it, the point of it is him saying like, well, whatever our solution is, it can't be what we did before, which was unconstitutionally, employing the COVID lockdowns.
In COVID, we completely dismantled our constitutional rights. We began censoring people in violation of the First Amendment.
You're saying what not to do. I'm asking what to do. But I want to talk about.
That's something to do. That is the number one priority. We protect the Constitution. The Constitution was written.
Forgive me, but you're talking about rights, and I'm asking about a potential public health crisis that is coming. But I do want to
And one of the mistakes we made in the last time was suppressing those rights so people weren't being heard. The doctors who were
He literally has nothing to say other than this. Like, hey, no lockdowns, no lockdowns, no lockdowns, nothing else, no lockdowns, no lockdowns.
Saying you're doing it wrong. We're being marginalized and vilified.
Yeah,
and
because again, I really want to move on, but.
Yeah,
you were saying yes, I do.
You were part of the problem.
No, I wasn't part of the problem.
There was absolute press malpractice. You weren't allowing your
Mr.
job.
Secretary,
your job
is
a fierce skepticism toward authority, and
yes,
you weren't doing that. You were beating up.
My job.
A lot of people would actually rather die. Good. COVID mortality rates were higher in red communities. The next time there's a big disease, I hope that they learn no lessons.
We're dissenting.
No. Okay. Are you want to sit here and attack me, or do you want to have conversations about public health?
Me.
I'm not attacking you. I'm asking questions about how to prevent the next pandemic.
Question, and I'll tell you.
That's what I'm trying to do. But I also don't want to use this interview to allow you to say things that aren't entirely true. You're talking about therapeutics. Fine. It is also factually true that the COVID vaccine worked. The COVID vaccine prevented deaths. There is data upon data upon data.
Does he respond? Wait, hold on. Let me see the full thing. Because I want to know how he responds to that. Hold on, where are they? Where's the clip for this? I don't see it on CNN's YouTube channel. Did they not typically release State of the Union videos right away?
And I've never questioned the efficacy of the MMR vaccine.
Okay, let me finish.
What
I want you to do is please use your bully pulpit to right now, as we're getting close to back to school, say Are you willing to say to parents who have not vaccinated their kids that they should vaccinate their kids for measles because it is safe and it will help them save their children's lives?
We tell people on my websites, my public
Right now,
pronouncement, I'll
look
say
into the
it right
camera.
now that parents should get their children vaccinated for measles. A measles vaccine is effective. It stops measles in about 97% of the cases. Well, people should get vaccinated.
Can I ask you?
He's probably willing to cede ground on this because it's not an mRNA vaccine, right? So it's like his particular grift has been unscientifically questioning the safety of mRNA vaccines. Or sorry, MMR, not RNA, MMR vaccines. But the measles one is, yeah, it's old enough that he's not going to pitch a fit over it.
You have been placing nearly all the blame on the...
The other thing that I would say is that we need to protect our constitutional rights.
Vaccine prevented deaths. There is data upon data upon data. Let's talk about the measles, please, because this is something that is happening.
Doesn't respond. He just allows that to sit because he has nothing to say.
Cases in the U.S.
vaccine protected children.
I think that what I have talked to scientists and doctors about.
Scientists, can you show me one study?
Yes, I can.
That shows that children were protected by the COVID vaccine.
I can tell you that there are.
That vaccine did more good than harm to children. Can you show me one study that shows that?
I can tell you that when it comes to the vaccine, there have been studies that show that because of
measles is MMR, then am I thinking of mRNA? I'm sorry, it's been a little while since I've argued COVID stuff, so I might have some of the acronyms mixed up. But my understanding is that RFK Jr. reheats conspiracies from that fucking British guy who said that this like modern way of developing vaccines is particularly harmful because it leads to like a more rapid immunization schedule because you get injected for multiple things at once. But the MMR vaccine, then, thank you, measles, mumps, and rubella, is not from that process, right? Andrew Wakefield, that's the British guy. No, he was against MMR. Okay, then am I thinking about mRNA? I think that I mixed those two up. All right, I'll check my priors on that and make sure that I'm using it correctly in the future. Thank you for reminding me.
See, disinformation, there could have been 100 to 200,000 lives in the U.S. saved. But because people didn't get the vaccine, that's why. I'm not saying that it entirely...
You are saying nonsense. You are saying something that you cannot show me a single study.
I am not saying nonsense.
You are talking what somebody told you.
Excuse me.
Damn, he's like actually really mad. I mean, it makes sense. He is demented. He's like personally crazy.
And you cite me the study. What study?
No, what studies are you talking about?
Remember, he gets his kids vaccinated. Just keep that in mind.
You're talking about studies that actually don't exist. I want to talk about.
Cite me the study that you're talking about.
I am not here to defend.
Study. Cite me the study.
This is not productive. I am not here to defend all of the...
You're talking nonsense.
Do you think he's the only people in the cabinet? He's not a true believer at all. He got his kids vaccinated. He's not a true believer at all. He's always been a grifter. He just understands that he can make money trading off his name. Remember, he ran in the Democratic presidential primary in 2024 and switched sides to be part of Trump's cabinet because he was promised a cabinet seat. He ran as a Democrat, and his only message was, I'm a Kennedy, I'm a Kennedy, I'm a Kennedy. And then he literally went to the Trump team and said, I will work for you if you get me a good job. Like, he is like the most disingenuous motherfucker in the world.
Assertions you can't support, and then when I call you on them, you're telling me that I'm arguing.
Okay, do you want to talk about assertions that you can't support? I'll get there in a second. Let me just say, for the record, that I am not saying that the entire way that the COVID reaction was accurate. It was a scary time, and people made mistakes. Absolutely.
You were scaring people.
Why are you saying that?
If a new pandemic breaks out, you don't immediately know how exactly it works, so you take the greatest precautionary measures possible. Very basic 101 stuff. Very, very basic 101.
Because that was the job of CNN.
Okay.
Was to put the chyrons up about how many people.
It's so funny that Dana Bash is like a loyal slave to Israel, but she's going to get canned by the Ellisons too in favor of like an even crazier person. You know, like she's not crazy enough for MAGA.
We were trying to we were listening to the leaders in this country, including the president, who had a daily press conference explaining what was going on and trying to listen.
Were you listening?
I want to talk to measles.
Actually, were you reading the science yourself?
The measles cases in the U.S. just reached a 35-year high. The second record-breaking year in a row. 93% of these cases are among the unvaccinated.
What's the end game for them? They don't care. The modern right wing is defined in large part by being anti-civilization. They're not just anti-empirics. They literally don't care. Mass death is fine with them. They don't care. There's no long plan here. It doesn't matter. There's no, it does not. They're just death cultists. He just wants to make money as a public health grifter. That's it. There's no broader scheme here. Whether it fucks them over in the future, it doesn't matter.
The outbreak is happening on your watch. And even before becoming HHS secretary, for years, you have been one of the leading voices questioning the efficacy of vaccines. Do you accept some responsibility for this measles outbreak?
Absolutely not. First of all,
we
is
saw this bit.
international.
Let's just see how it ends, because I can't stand listening to his voice too much longer.
What we're talking about is ultra-processed food definition.
Exactly.
And the GRAS standards.
Yes.
And they've both gone through extensive interagency process. I'm very confident that we will get them both out there within probably a month.
Well, I'm sorry that this, and that's good news for people who are very moms, and I'm one of them, who are very worried about making sure that our kids eat food and we eat food that is healthy.
Did he spill the whole cup here? When did?
Causes problems that things.
Repeat things that natural immunity about the
it's not
transmission
spilled
from the vaccine, about the source of COVID. He was lying, and you were punishing people for not trusting the experts. And now you're rolling out the experts again to talk about something that you have no personal knowledge of.
Okay, well, guess what? That is my job, to talk to people.
Your job is to tell the truth to the American public.
Yes, and my job is to get as much information as I can.
It is a little bit satisfying, because this is Dana Bash's fault. By holding water for illiberalism and being a loyal servant of capital, she enabled the exact environment that produced this. Dana Bash engaged in the, she is not just complicit, but enormously complicit in the erosion of public trust in media, in large part because, doing the job of a journalist would involve critiquing her masters, capital. Not just within her network, CNN, but also the broader system. She's held water for the systems that have eroded at the technocracy that she's relied on to hold her job. So now she's looking at a retard of her own creation. In a world Dana Bash wanted, RFK Jr. would never be even close to power, but it is the world she created.
And to maintain
what we were doing,
a posture of fierce skepticism
what we were doing
authority.
In COVID and still, with regard to these vaccines, is getting the best information, the best science that we can, and putting it out there. And sir, what you are doing is causing information to be out there that is not accurate.
Who was lying to
you? The National Academy of Sciences, which you just cited in November.
Damn, the camera didn't.
Said
No, why would you not use his camera when it happens? Why the fuck would you cut to her? What the fuck?
Support the statement that vaccines do not cause autism. This is the National Academy of Sciences that you just talked about.
Look at the National Academy of Sciences most recent report.
Okay.
And you'll see.
I want to ask you one other question, because it's something that really did help Donald Trump get elected, and that is the MAHA movement, and specifically the question of processed foods.
Of what?
Processed foods, and the fact that people want to feel that their food is safe. My understanding is that you're pushing for reforms on food safety and ultra.
The processed foods thing is such bullshit. I've said this a million times before. The amount of processing isn't the issue. It's what they put in the food. And RFK Jr. consistently advocates for deregulation of the FDA, so corporations have even more leeway in deciding what they put in, sawdust or whatever. Meaningless. I think it's always been like that, Dana. You've probably just been eating better food. RFK has an insane crash out on CNN, spills his drink. Why not? All Maha types just shill for untested supplements. Yeah, it's just totally meaningless. Healthy eating is actually like really fucking simple. Like the dieting, exercise, they're all really, really, really simple. Did you see this raging anti-Semite, Alan Dershowitz? Yeah, I saw this. Whatever. I already knew he was an anti-Semite and a pedophile. Not Jay Feather. It's been there for over a year. Okay. There's one more segment that I'd like to go over before we go ahead and read donos. And it's an important one. Trump tacoed again. I'm sorry to engage in this from the perspective with like the smarmy liberal sloganing here, you know, like taco time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a dang Cheeto Dorito in the White House. Yeah, I know. Drumpf. But he did. Trump postured multiple times, big renewal of strikes against Iran, and then here we go. The USA is locked and loaded and ready to go against the Islamic Republic of Iran at levels of military terror. Strength and power not seen since World War II. Despite this, we have just been asked by Iran and other Middle Eastern countries to hold off any attack in the perimeter of the deal has been agreed to. So what actually happened, according to inside sources, is that the U.S. reached out and desperately begged Iran for another ceasefire. Like, there's no ambiguity about this. We just straight up said, holy shit, please. And Iran basically immediately rejected it. Just like nothing. I said this on Twitter. I just don't want people to accuse me of reheating the classics here. But like, I really think Donald Trump only has like 4 or 5 of these left in him, which seems like a lot. But keep in mind, you burn through 4 or 5 of these in 4 or 5 weekends. You know, so it's like it's not actually that much time. Guys, you can't 6-7 when neither 6 nor 7 came up. You can't do that. Come on. Breaking, a source close to Iran's top negotiator says Tehran viewed the latest U.S. threats as pressure tactics to force Iran into negotiations. But Iran is in no rush to talk, believing time is on its side, and Donald Trump has no strategic cards left to play, according to Iranian media. They're correct. The only 2 cards we have left on the table that we have not yet played is a massive ground invasion, which would be bad for us, or nuclear weapons. We could nuke them. That would also be, well, it would mostly be bad for Iran, but it would also be bad for us. I know that America's reputation has taken a bit of a hit globally over the past 10 years, but I promise you that using nuclear weapons in Iran would be bad for everyone. It would not be great for anyone, and they wouldn't work. Nuclear weapons and a ground invasion both wouldn't free the strait. It's drone warfare. You could nuke Iran over and over and over again, and you still would not get rid of their drone and missile stockpiles. Sorry, this is the Hormuz report. We normally look at the Hormuz letter. Here we go. Let's just read a couple of updates here because we'll go over this as I did, you know. Iran directly rejects Trump's new claim Iran agreed to end its nuclear program and open the Strait of Hormuz as a complete lie, saying it is a, quote, desperate attempt to manipulate the market as per Iranian media officials. So there have been a couple of times in the past where Iran has been willing to, in the interest probably of not looking like the bad guy, engage with America in peace talks. 2 main times, essentially, the second of them being the Memorandum of Understanding, where Iran was like, I don't think this is going to work, but I'll try it anyway. And they're not doing that anymore. It seems like Iran is no longer interested in playing this bad faith market manipulation game. Speaking of market manipulation, you know that just in the past 24 hours, Trump finally opened up the Truth Social subscription scheme that allows you to access his posts just milliseconds earlier than everyone else. So your automatic market like stock algorithms can buy or sell based on his words before anyone else can. Iran has forced U.S. forces to withdraw from Kuwait and Bahrain following weeks of constant Iranian missile attacks. We know that. Unlike Saudi Arabia, where Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had a call just hours before Trump canceled his massive attack, the UAE is lobbying Trump for more decisive action against Iran. God, they're stupid. They're so fucking stupid, dude. The UAE is legitimately like Saudi Arabia, but retarded. No long-term thinking, no plan. Unlike Saudi Arabia, which has at least some degree of, like, you know, evil capital petrostate masterminding going on at the top, they're literally just really fucking stupid. Iran's IRGC is considering launching preemptive strikes as Iranian officials are aware of Trump's political vulnerability. Here we go. This is the one that I was looking at. Breaking. Thousands of Israeli troops were on maximum alert this weekend following U.S. warnings of a pending American strike in Iran's infrastructure, only for Trump to cancel the operation at the last minute. Israeli security officials are now extremely angry at Trump and strongly criticize the abrupt cancellation. I think this is an unreliable source. It's not the real Kobayashi letter. Is it not? Am I looking at the wrong? Oh, wait, you're right. Not followed by anyone you're following. Okay, hold on. These are the tweets that I saw earlier from the authentic account, though, so they're just copying the tweets from the other one. Let me find that then. Let's just find the Kobayashi letter then. It's just that they post so much more. No. We've used the Hormuz letter before. I remember using it. Breaking. Iran's IRGC has launched an anti-ship cruise missile from... Oh, this is 3 minutes ago. Hold on. Likely target being an oil tanker sent by the U.S. that switched off its AIS an hour ago while passing through the U.S.-backed southern route. We're still doing it? Was multiple ships getting attacked by Iran not enough? How many oil tankers are we going to send to an early fucking grave? Jesus Christ. We're so evil and stupid. They know what the fuck they're doing? Yes, they do know what the fuck they're doing. All right, well, whatever the case. Yeah, the point that I wanted to make here wasn't the specific play-by-play of what's going on right now. Oh, is this the one that was struck? Fearless Amber is about to use the Oman lane just as U.S. talks about negotiations. Was this the ship? This is like a prelude to disaster? This is from how long ago? This is from 15 minutes ago. So it's right after they shut off their transponder, and then right afterwards we get a report Iran hits them. Stupid. So fucking stupid. Who keeps agreeing to do this? Keep in mind that, like, a lot of these tankers are being captained by people who are under enormous pressure right now. Their companies are like, we're talking about like the kind of companies that would manage super oil tankers moving through the fucking strait. So we're talking about like evil companies in line with evil governments. They're probably just pressuring the captain into it, lying to them, saying, no, the US route is safe. At any rate, the point that I'm trying to get at here, you know, that I'm laboriously arriving at, is that I really don't think Trump has that much, like, many more of these left, you know? There is a limit to how much you can pull this trick over and over again. I really think we're running on fumes here. The fact that Iran's not even willing to, like, play the game anymore, like, they're just straight up ignoring it. Financial Times confirms the U.S. has abandoned Kuwait and Bahrain. It's fucking embarrassing. No, we've lost. We've lost this war. We're just refusing to surrender. No, legitimately, we've abandoned significant parts of the Middle East. What was the reason Trump tried to chicken out this time? Because if he doesn't chicken out, Iran might attack us again. Or, you know, our Gulf state proxies. I'm thrilled we have less bases, personally. Yeah, but the Gulf state allies certainly aren't. Also, the end of the rules-based order, which will be a disaster for shipping. Yeah, I made this point before, but like over the past, especially the past 30 years since the end of the Cold War, global shipping and international trade has just blown up. Cheap fuel and safe sea lanes means that you can bring anything anywhere. But pretty soon, the fuel's going to be expensive and the sea lanes will not be safe, which means that everything is going to have to get more local. Everything's going to get more expensive. Just a fundamental paradigm shift. It's going to lead to a lot of people starving, a lot of really, really, really bad outcomes. What does the U.S. losing this war mean for Israel? I mean, we need to surrender. Like, Iran's going to keep doing this unless Israel pulls out of Lebanon, and they're not doing it. Have we reached peak globalization? Yeah, it makes sense. We might have just hit the upper limit of how much trade can be globalized, given the low point of fuel costs and the high point of sea lanes being safe. This is what global trade looks like with the technology and social conditions present in the 2000s, 2010s, or whatever. But it's going to start going down from now on, probably. The markets are falling for it again. To be clear, the markets are not falling for it. It's deliberate market manipulation orchestrated by the federal government. That is literally the reason he's doing it. They're not falling for it. Like, it's done to do this, you know? We've seen this headline a million times. U.S. oil prices crash after Trump cancels U.S. strikes in Iran, says a deal is near. Like this is the system working as it is meant to work. Did you see Trump spilling the tea on the ICC? Look at Rubio's face. Trump corrects Marco Rubio. The, quote, only reason we're attempting to destroy the International Criminal Court is to protect Benjamin Netanyahu. That's so funny. I love my incapable of lying president.
Very arrogant. We've now begun an effort to really try to bring that court to heel.
Where there's no information that they're after me. It could happen. Just so you know, just keep talking about it and saying that means that maybe he's not trying to defend me. He is trying to defend Bibi and various other people. But there are many people that shouldn't be looked at that way. But there is no indication that I'm one of them at this moment.
Phenomenal. Thank you. Very good. Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know what happens after Trump runs out of tacos. Nobody on earth really knows what's going to happen when this all comes to a head. Trump is almost out of tacos. World starves, yeah. Not going to be aided by how many farmers are basically going to be producing like non-existent crop yields. Not sure folks have realized just how bad the second half of 2026 and 2027 will be for global temperatures. On the back of a record-smashing El Nino event, here's my latest estimate of where both years will end compared to global temps since 1850. Not great. You see there's a bit of a vertical jump right here. Not great, Bob. Yeah. What happened in 1890? The Industrial Revolution, I assume. I mean, part of it didn't really just happen in 1 year, but you know, there's been a bit of a trend. Israeli understood American politics something funny for you?
Trump, good Trump, good Trump, very good Trump.
What do you feel about Trump being elected?
Very good Trump.
Why?
English not very good me.
Good for Israel?
Very good Israel Trump.
Good for America?
For America, 50-50.
Well, you know. What an honest guy. Yeah, they're calling him the world's most honest Zionist. You know. Very good, very good. We taught the median voters politics to this guy, and he said thumbs up, and he said, English no good. Stupid. Fucking stupid. All right. I'm going to read donos, and you can't stop me. Good Faith Goblin, thank you for gifting 5 tier 2 subs while I wasn't streaming between the streams. Thank you. Good Lord. Very, very kind of you. Jar Jar Stinks, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Says, who the heck do you think you are making fun of the prequels? I'm sorry, Jar Jar Stinks. Musashi, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Cool shit with all that sword sainting you did. The Madman, thank you for the tier 3 sub. Really appreciate that. Rosender, thank you for the $5. Donating for the first time to beseech you to do Anthropium more frequently as a stream opener. You know what? I agree. I think that Anthropium, you know, there's a kind of beauty in that too. Like the world might be like genuinely collapsing, but seeing all of these, you know, remnants of the old world, it's the kind of like, well, there's still a continuity here, you know. I bet a lot of the people who made that old, like, pre-modern art were like, well, the world's ending because of the Black Death or whatever, the sea people. You know? You get me. Apprentice, thanks the $20. I apologize if this is off topic, but could I get you to expand more on a topic you covered the other day, namely the only whites can be racist topic? Did I talk about that the other day? Did we do like a race politics? I don't remember talking about that the other day. What are you referring to? I know there's some drama on my social media feed right now over something relating to intersectional racial politics, but I don't really know the... I don't really know what the deal is there. Ethno-narcissism? Sure, but that's not necessarily the same. I mean, obviously anyone can be... Listen, the power plus prejudice equals racism thing is and always has been dumb. It's a limited academic definition that escaped containment, okay? Bigotry is a rationality, not, well, it's irrational, but it's a process of thinking, right? Like it's a thing people do to rationalize their beliefs. That has existed in every population that has ever existed. It's as fundamental as tribalism. It essentially is just tribalism. Anyone who tries to argue that that mode of reasoning isn't pernicious or invalid because it's coming from a minority group is really, really dumb. It is very dangerous. It is a bad thinking process that is bad no matter who is doing it. You know, prejudicial thinking is just bad, like at face value. This is very, very basic progressive stuff. It's bad when it comes from whites. It's bad when it comes from blacks. It's bad when it comes from anyone else. Now, the amount of harm being caused by it varies tremendously depending on who's expressing it. Like, black people and white people in 1850s America are equally capable of being racist, but they are not equally capable of affecting racist outcomes. I think that makes sense, right? Like a maybe a bit hackneyed way of putting it is that like you know, a child and an adult, to kind of like make a comparison based on relative social power, like black people in 1850s America did not have a lot of social power, but like a child and an adult are both equally capable of being violent in like the generalized, you know, like intent or what they're doing, they're swinging their fist kind of way. But the difference in the violent outcomes they're capable of affecting are very different. Black people in the 1850s, and of course still to an extent today, have a, you know, a lesser extent, but still to an extent, have a much lower degree of power to affect their bigotry, but it's still bad. It's just a bad process. It's a bad way of thinking. That's all. Don't be like a dork. Don't fucking like pretend anti-white racism is as big of a problem as anti-black racism, but do recognize that there is like prejudicial thinking is pernicious and causes issues in a lot of ways. Like a big example is that anti-white racism from black people often leads to really bigoted treatment of mixed race people, where mixed race people, half black, half white, get treated badly by racist black people because they're seen as like, you know, compromised or not real black people or whatever, you know, and white people, of course, often are racist against mixed race people for the same reason they're racist against black people. I'm just saying, like, the prejudicial thinking is bad on its own. It's a bad thought process. You know, it's very, very simple, I think. As someone who's had the misfortune of working in the DEI space, this will never fly. Thought leaders are vehemently dogmatic that anything anti-white isn't racist. Literally a CIA op. I'm not joking. The insistence on that like woke one style of DEI anti-bigotry is genuinely a tool that has been weaponized by reactionaries in an effort to cause infighting and dismantle progressive causes. Like genuinely, don't buy it. Okay, there's a reason that whole like early DEI woke one wave came from so many like upper middle class corporate consultant think pieces. Like there's a reason why so many of the loudest voices in that iteration of progressivism came from people who were literally corporate consultants. Isn't that crazy? Like literally that lady who did the super famous the book on it, like these literally they're corporate consultants. They're not academics, they're not activists, they're not even progressive. They were corporate consultants. You don't have to take it seriously. Yeah, Robin DiAngelo. Yeah. Oh boy, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Really appreciate that. JBZO2, hey, thank you for the tier 4 sub. It's been a long time since I've timestamped any on the streams. Hey, listen, I've noticed, but like you know, I wasn't gonna get up in arms at you about it. Been working my ass off and making sure the family's okay financially. Finished my manager cave. I hope you're doing well, really, you know? You're a household name in these parts. Maybe not in these parts, because a lot of people are like watch the live stream only, but for VOD watchers, you know, and that's a lot of people. Really, thank you for what you've done timestamping before, and I hope you're doing well. You know, I hope you're doing well. Really. Londi the Elder, thank you for the $10. Looking for better underwear? Do you no longer recommend MeUndies? Genuinely, like MeUndies fell off years ago. They changed the way their underwear feels. I tried buying some of their new stuff and it just felt off. I don't know why they did that. I have not bought new underwear in a while. I'm looking for the next like underwear brand that I'm gonna buy 20 from. You know what I mean? Like I am wearing some pretty old underwear. Like I would very much appreciate, like I would like to find a new brand that feels comfortable for sure. Not quite tattered rags. Just get Hanes or Fruit of the Loom. No, I'm sorry. I having worn high quality underwear, I'm not wearing fucking Hanes. I can feel the low quality cotton fibers. Like there is a difference. It is worth investing in good underwear. I just haven't like found it. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the incredibly kind 20 tier 1 subs. I really appreciate that. Tough economic times for us all. A long time coming. I feel like this is a really good pick of me over here on the left. I'm a big fan of the proportions here. I was at a furry cider bar like 2 weeks ago, and there was a person there that was in an actual honest-to-God latex inflation suit. God bless, you know? In this age of encroaching fascism, let all the weirdos out. I don't fucking care. Have fun. In this heat? Yeah, no kidding, right? Dermert, thanks the tier 1 sub. I recommend The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell about a 16th century Medici daughter who thinks her husband's trying to kill her. Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. I feel like I've heard that. But I don't know anything about it. I'll give it a look. Big Whelp, thanks the $5. Recent callback. Professor Dave is like 24 hours of videos thoroughly debunking RFK and his cronies. They're pure evil. They really are. They genuinely are, like, unimaginably evil. So many of them are, man. So many people in charge right now are just, like, comedically evil. Bull Cypher, thank you for the super kind tier 3 sub. Missed my birthday stream yesterday, but it's been fun watching you since Profile Voosh days. Looking forward to many more streams. Me too. I feel like I'm nowhere near running out of stuff to talk about. In fact, in a way, there is a kind of catharsis, not happiness or excitement, but catharsis in feeling like we're reaching a breaking point. Because for years, I have been doomsaying about some kind of break. And, it feels like, how do I put this? It's like what Malcolm X said. You can't begin the healing until the knife is pulled out. I feel like we're reaching the kind of societal metaphorical equivalent of not necessarily pulling the knife out, but acknowledging the knife exists. Like it feels like we're reaching a point where something can maybe be done. Because, like, can you imagine 40 more grinding years of neoliberalism like this? Just the slow worsening of everything and everyone all around us with no reckoning? A reckoning is being forced because of, in large part, climate change in the Middle East, but, like, man, like how, like, just a torture machine, you know? I hope that, like, I genuinely hope that I can be, I dream of being alive and being able to produce content, being able to live stream and make YouTube videos or whatever else, whatever the equivalent is whenever the time comes. I dream of being able to do that in a world where we can begin, like, a bit of rebuilding. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just be the smartest guy of the end times or whatever. I want to be around after there's been a reckoning so that I can be like, all right, let's do things a little bit better this time, because then I'll feel like I'm not just like, because people ask me, what do we do? And my honest answer is, like, there's not really anything you can do right now except prepare. You should try to get Democratic Socialists elected, because I feel like their voice is going to be important when things fall apart. But I don't think things aren't going to fall apart. I feel like they've already fallen apart in the future. There's nothing you can do to change it. The best thing you can do is secure your own safety, well-being, and happiness, and also try to set things up so after the falling apart has taken place, we can, you know, do the work that's needed. PV just hit 70,000 dials for Abdul Al-Sayed. Guys, I'm about to end stream after I'm finished reading donos. Please go look at Progressive Victory and do some work with them afterwards. Abdul Al-Sayed needs all the help in the world to win the general. Like, the uniparty is slanted against him. Please do. It really would mean a lot to me if you could. Apprentice, thank you for the $30. Really kind of you. Thank you. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd cover. I always had an issue with the concept you covered but couldn't word it. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Intersectionality is extremely important, but it's important to remember that, like, intersectionality does not mean that, like, people who are oppressed can't be oppressors or whatever. In reality, oppression is an incredibly intertwined mesh, a really, really complicated strata of influences. So anyone who tries to reduce it to, like, some absurdly simplified, like, well, you know, women can't be oppressors, black people can't be racist, what you know, whatever, like, just the simplicity of the argument on its own should be enough to convince you that it's not worth taking seriously. Kowalski, thank you for the $5. Hey Vosh, check out this link redacted, as Chatter has selfishly sent a link via every other dono for 30 days, but's grateful for the engagement. I'm on to you, Kowalski. You self-interested motherfucker. Sake, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Now you can be confused at a table with real people. Speaking of links, Baba Is You the board game? actually buy this. I feel like this could potentially be really, really cool. Baba Is You is maybe the most puzzle game ever puzzle gamed. I don't think any other puzzle game comes close to Baba Is You in being a puzzle game, if that makes any sense. Shaky09, thanks to $5. I know you have nothing new to say about Israelis, but holy shit, even I was stunned by how evil this was. During an interview with the BBC, Israeli settler and lawyer Yehuda Shimon said all Palestinians in the villages of Tau, Sarah, Jit, and Farada should be killed. One Jewish life, it's 10 million Palestinian lives, he said.
They kill one Israeli people, we need to kill all the people in Tel and Sarah, even Jit and Farada. Why? Because we don't want it to happen again.
It sounds like you're saying
self-described liberal.
One Jewish life is worth hundreds or thousands of Palestinian lives.
Not million. One Jewish life, it's 10 million, okay?
That just sounds racist.
Look at the utter ineptitude of media as they confront fascism emergent again. If Hitler, if CNN and Hitler and all that business were happening again right now, you know, Dana Bash would have Hitler on and like this is the criticism he would receive. You know? This is like, well, that sounds like bigoted. And he'd be like, well, yeah, and then that'd be it. Like, whatever, you know? Mr. Hitler, sir, how dare you know, and it'd be just like nothing. That sounds racist. Yeah, okay. Fucking pathetic, man. There are no more liberals left. Apprentice, thanks to tier 1 sub. Very kind of you. Bieberhole, 69. Thank you for the $20. Also very kind of you. JBZO2, thanks to $15. I finished the timestamp Vosh. Whoa. I'm not coercing any work from you. I'm in my man cave and I made some crab cake subs. Love the stream after a long while of working like crazy for weeks. Take some time off, JBZ. I mean, as much as you can, you know? Take care of yourself. Yeah, try to stay strong. I know it's rough. Probably only going to get rougher, at least for a while. But, you know, we all have to try our best. Benelli thanks the $2. Flowers for Algernon's a banger book and movie. I've heard that. Bing Bong Binturong, thank you for the $10. Plasma donations, a great way to help some folks in your community while making a little extra money for food or gas or bills. Highly recommend if you're okay with needles. That's true. That is a classic way of supplementing your income a little bit if you're poor. Really, you know, it depends on your health, obviously. You know, it's a little bit ghoulish, but so is the entire world. Shin and Ori, thank you for the $2 and £2. Happy birthday, Ori. Really appreciate that. It's my gift to you after your kind dono the previous stream. The Relmint, thank you for the 5 Canadian. My city's dealing with intense rainfall, flooding, and storm damage across the city. Had like 500% of our normal summer total in 1 month. Why not tell me what city you're in, bucko? You're Canadian dollars. Should have told me what city you're in. And R-Man, thank you for the $5. Thanks for being the least racist person alive. My pleasure. Always. Hey, buddy, from me, it's for free. Oh, I wanted to show you guys, by the way. I didn't use enough. Oh, sorry, never mind. I moved it from there. My little project of painting some stain remover on that brown shirt to give it like more of a deliberate looking discoloration actually worked, though I didn't add enough. It only led to a very mild discoloration, so I'm going to do it again, but with more. Colesmith, thanks the tier 1 sub. Thought I should sub after watching for free for years. Yeah, give me the viewer tax. Yoink. Give me the viewer tax. Yeah. I never watched the earlier Mad Max's, Uves. I probably should. A lot of stuff I want to watch. All right, everyone, I'm going to go. Please go over to Progressive Victory and please phone bank for Abdul. I really can't overstate how important it is that he wins. The Progressive Project is going to take an unbelievable hit if he loses. Not to mention, like, you know, America, because they're fucking because Rogers is going to be the guy. Be careful.